Chapter 1248. It's you? Jianghu Demon Monarch's face instantly turned livid. Lin Muyu's appearance had already cast a shadow on his heart. It was this kid who defeated him in 3 moves. It's you. Ziyin repeated Jianghu Demon Monarch's words. His eyes were full of resentment as he said, "What are you waiting for? This person is the strongest martial deity among the upright deities. Kill him, kill him." For a moment, the purple clouds in the sky fell like a tsunami. That was the army of thousands of Mara. Lin Muyu sat motionlessly on the dragon's back. He gently raised his left hand, and a bunch of golden light floated in his palm. In the blink of an eye, his back bloomed with a bright light and suddenly became bigger. It was like the shell of an ancient dragon turtle, which was hundreds of meters in radius. The outside of the shell was full of tiny golden awns. Those were the sword chi of AO sword tactics. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sword chi continued to fly out, piercing through the group of Maras as if he had unleashed tens of thousands of sword kinesis technique in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the sky was filled with a rain of blood. The first wave of Maras that charged at Lin Muyu had all been killed, while he himself was unharmed. He took a deep breath and muttered to himself, "The Radiance Armor technique is still very powerful." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Ziyao, Qinyin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing and others were all stunned. This was not the Lin Muyu they knew before. At this moment Lin Muyu was simply too strong. "Bastard!" Ziyin roared, and the god-destroying tower in his hand shone brightly. It was about to be launched. However, Lin Muyu did not give him a chance to show his power. He raised his finger and suddenly, a heavenly light penetrated the clouds and went straight to Ziyin. It was the sword intent power of AO sword tactics. "What?" Ziyin let out a low roar, raised his arm and swept it horizontally. Boom. Sparks rose in the air and Lin Muyu's sword chi was forcefully slapped away. However, Ziyin wasn't any better off. His arm was red and numb from the impact. If he didn't rely on the god-destroying pagoda and only relied on his own strength to fight against Lin Muyu, Ziyin felt that he would probably end up like the 9 underworlds demon monarch within 10 moves. "What are you waiting for?" Ziyin roared, "Kill them. All of you, kill them all. Demon King of the 9 underworlds, follow me to deal with the gods of the Eastern God realm." Yes. Countless Saint Kings and demon generals raised their weapons, and with demonic flames, they turned into beams of fiery light and charged towards the ground. Finally, a full-scale battle had begun, and it was no longer just one-on-one duels. In the air, countless Mara surrounded Lin Muyu. Obviously, the demon world wanted to use their advantage in numbers to entangle her and get rid of the other righteous gods first. Naturally, Lin Muyu would not let them have their way. She brought her palms together before her chest and formed a seal. In an instant, countless sword chis flew out from her body and shot towards the ground. Along the way, countless demonic luos were killed by the sword chis. There was no one who could stop her. She broke through the blockade like a golden fireball. Even the demonic generals were no different from the demonic luos. Their bodies were shattered just like that. On the ground, there were already tens of thousands of Mara who had landed and were fighting with the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and the others. On the lone peak, Qinyin, Tang Xiaoxi and the others carried raging flames and light as they descended. In the blink of an eye, it became a chaotic battle. Feng Jixing stood in the forest on the lone peak. He raised his palms and roared, "Wind manipulation." Hundreds of meters above the ground, a storm swirled and tore rows of Mara into pieces. At the same time, a ray of light descended from the sky and pierced through the storm that Feng Jixing had summoned. Even Lin Muyu, who was holding a sword was startled. He couldn't help but smile in surprise. "Brother Feng, you've ascended?" Feng Jixing laughed. "That's right. Let's fight first." Shwa. A cold light flashed past, and a demon general behind Lin Muyu was pierced through the heart. Wei Chou also appeared, holding the Ho Yi bow. He smiled and said, "Lord, there's still me." Good, good, good." Lin Muyu was overjoyed. Her palms trembled as a powerful blood-red lightning exploded in the air like a storm. The power of Saint's martial arts is a power that only kind-hearted people can wield, so Lin Muyu activated it without hesitation. People from the demon realm can't wield this power. Instead, Feng Jixing, Qinyin, Tang Xiaoxi, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and the others' potential were greatly stimulated, becoming even more powerful and invincible. On the ground, a flame exploded. This was the 9 Serenities Demon King's attack on Ziyao. His demonic flame was much stronger than other demons. His several 100,000 years of cultivation was extremely pure. Even though his wounds haven't fully healed yet, he was still able to fight evenly with impartial goddess Ziyao. Oh! The power of the domain fluctuated in the air. Lin Muyu swooped down with a sword will in her hand and shouted in a low voice, "I didn't kill you yesterday, yet you still dare to come?" What? The Nine Serenities Demon King trembled and felt a chill on his head. It was an attack from Lin Muyu, a familiar attack. Peng? It was difficult for people who were locked by the sword domain of the AO sword tactics to escape. The Nine Serenities Demon King exhausted all his strength but couldn't break free from the shackles of the sword domain. He was directly hit by the sword. He exploded into pieces. This old monster from the depths of the demon realm never thought that he would end up like this. Ziyao was slightly shocked. She couldn't help but look behind Lin Muyu and said, "Be careful of the god-destroying tower." Lin Muyu was also stunned. Ziyan in the air had already taken out the god-destroying tower. The tower spun rapidly and the demonic flames spewed out. It suddenly attacked the direction of Lin Muyu. Even Ziyao was within the attack range. After being locked, she couldn't move and could only take it head-on. The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor smashed a holy king with his axe. He turned around and was shocked. Ziyao. He flew over and was about to use his body to block the god-destroying tower again. However, a gentle force in the air pushed him away. Lin Muyu said in a low voice, "Brother Demon Emperor, step aside. Let me do it." The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor was stunned, but it was obvious that Lin Muyu wasn't joking. He wouldn't do this if he didn't have absolute confidence. Peng? Lin Muyu stepped on the void and flew towards the light of the god-destroying tower. At the same time, he put his palms together and looked calmly at Ziyan in the distance. Beams of sword intent revolved and condensed around his body. In the blink of an eye, they gathered in front of his body. There were more and more sword auras. Soon, they overlapped into a diamond-shaped giant shield formed by the power of the sword domain. It was bright and full of righteousness. Sword domain shield. Let's see if you can block it. There wasn't such a move in the AO sword technique. This was a move that Lin Muyu created by flexibly using the AO sword technique. She used the overlapping power of the sword domain to form a heavy shield to receive the opponent's fierce attack. The AO sword technique was just a general mental cultivation method. Only a martial god like Lin Muyu could understand the myriad changes within it. Die. Ziyan's roar came from the sky. The energy of the god-destroying tower officially exploded. Heaven and earth turned dark. The power of the entire demon domain was completely absorbed at this moment. Boom. The light beam bombarded the sword domain shield. Suddenly, the power of the first layer of the sword domain collapsed instantly. However, there was still the second layer, the third layer, and even more. Lin Muyu's eyes were cold. Her face was covered in sweat. She pushed the sword domain shield forward and approached the god-destroying tower. Although the power of the god-destroying tower was powerful, it only destroyed less than half of the sword domain shield. On the contrary, Lin Muyu sent the sword domain shield straight to the front of Ziyan and shouted, "Explode!" Bang! This huge energy shield actually exploded and turned into countless sword lights that raged in the sky. In an instant, countless people from the demon domain were killed. Ziyan didn't expect that Lin Muyu's move would be a defensive move with an offensive move. He could only use the shield power of the god-destroying tower to resist. In the blink of an eye, the light of the god-destroying tower dimmed a lot. Swish! Lin Muyu raised her hand and pulled out the Xianyuan sword. The sword light shone brightly, and her figure attacked like lightning. She slashed at Ziyan's arm that was holding the god-destroying tower. In the loud sound, the light of the god-destroying tower became even dimmer. The power of the god-destroying tower that was used to protect him had been severely depleted. Clang, 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 it was another 3 consecutive strikes. Ziyan was forced to retreat continuously. His face was full of shock. At this moment, Lin Muyu was worthy of the title of martial god. Who in the world could be this kid's opponent? Even the gods of the realm beyond Avalon would have to concede defeat against such a powerful attack from the heavenly might. Without waiting for Ziyan to go far away, Lin Muyu raised her hand and used the AO sword art again. Countless sword intents bombarded on Ziyan's protective aura. This lord of the demon domain had never been in such a sorry state. He held the god-destroying tower and retreated. At the same time he shouted, "Protect the god-destroying tower. Kill them all. Kill them all." Between heaven and earth, countless Mara's army came with the pressure of Mount Tai. "You don't chase too far." On the ground, the 7 luminaries demon emperor shouted loudly. And the corresponding voice was the voice of Baifeng Holy King, "Protect His Majesty Ancestor Emperor and retreat. Stop them." At this time Lin Muyu had also consumed more than half of her divine power. She took a deep breath and carried the Xian Yuan sword to attack back. Her body was full of sword aura, and no one could get close to her. The power of the AO sword art could be said to be fully exerted. And under the power of the holy martial arts, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing, Wei Chou, Chu Chu and other righteous gods were completely invincible. Each of them showed their magic power and fought with the army of Mara. In the blink of an eye, the ground was covered with a few thick layers of Mara's corpses. This was a great victory for the Eastern divinity. No one retreated. Nearly 300 people chased after tens of millions of Mara and attacked crazily. This battle lasted for a whole night. It was not until the next day when the sun pierced through the clouds that Mara's remnant army retreated. And not Haishan had been covered by Mara's corpse. The thick smell of blood was very pungent, but everyone who was covered in blood laughed. This battle was too rare. It was the beginning of the decline of the demon domain. On the peak of the mountain, the 7 luminaries demon emperor sat down on a rock. Let's rest for a while. I'm so tired. Lin Muyu also descended from the sky. She shook her arm lightly and burned all the blood on the long sword. Then she sheathed it and walked over on the rocks. There were only 2 little beauties in her eyes. She opened her arms and hugged them. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi also hugged him tightly. After a whole night of fighting, they actually didn't have a chance to hug each other. Cough cough, Feng Jixing coughed. Chu Yao chuckled. The 7 luminaries demon emperor wiped the blood on his face and said, I originally thought you would snatch the god-destroying tower. I tried but I failed. Lin Muyu was a little helpless. She spread her hands and said, a radiance armor technique and a sword domain shield almost consumed a small part of my strength. This directly caused my strength to not be able to break through Ziyan's protective chi. Otherwise, I would have been able to keep the god-destroying tower. Also, Big Brother Demon Emperor, you should have noticed a fatal flaw of the sword domain shield. The Demon Emperor's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, the sword domain shield can only block 2 attacks from the god-destroying tower. If it is activated 3 times in a row, you won't be able to do anything, right? That's right. Ziyan is a fool. Haha, pack up and prepare to return Mount Deshang. After this battle, the demon domain will definitely retreat from Mount Deshang. Chapter 1249. In the afternoon, Mara's army had retreated from Mount Deshang, leaving behind only the ruined Hall of Deshang and the badly damaged Divine Realm Altar, Hall of Rites, Hall of Mental Cultivation, and Hall of Spiritual Wisdom. The gods slowly descended from the clouds. The 7 luminaries demon emperor's face was ashen. Those bastards, they even burned down the divine herb garden we planted. Ziyao gently landed on the ground and said, as long as there are seeds, we can replant the garden of magical herbs. Fortunately, Mount Deshang is still there. It's already a great gift that they didn't destroy this spiritual mountain. Lin Muyu frowned. Wei Chou, let's go patrol Mount Deshang and see if there are any ambushes left by the demon realm. Be careful. Yes, my lord. The 2 flew away. Sun Feng and Qing Ping, on the other hand, looked a little gratified. The Eastern God realm needed Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, and Feng Jixing, who had been through hundreds of battles and had rich experience. Their arrival was like a welcome rain after a long drought. Qin Yin did a quick calculation. There were a total of 14 righteous gods and 183 useless gods on Mount Deshang, which meant that the Eastern divinity only had these kindling left. She couldn't help but lament that the Eastern divinity, which used to have more than 100,000 troops, had fallen to such a state. Gradually night fell. Ziyao and Tang Xiaoxi found some food from the surrounding mountains and sent it to Mount Deshang by the rock. In addition, they had begun to repair the damaged houses. Even gods needed a place to live. This was inevitable. Lin Muyu and Wei Chou didn't go back for dinner. They were still searching around Mount Deshang. Stepping on a cloud, Lin Muyu's spiritual sense seeped into Mount Deshang. But all she sensed were layers of rocks that contained vast spiritual power. No matter how powerful the demon realm was, they couldn't penetrate every nook and cranny. Mount Deshang was formed thousands of years ago. Its structure was already perfect. It was impossible for them to invade at will. At this moment, Wei Chou suddenly raised the Hou-Yi bow and said, Your Excellency, look over there. What is that? Lin Muyu hurriedly turned around, only to hear a familiar sound coming from the clouds. Wait, don't attack first. Yes. Before long, a group of armored warriors riding on immortal phoenixes emerged from the clouds. Each of them held a weapon in their hands as they looked up at the peerless spiritual mountain that was Mount Deshang. At the front of the formation was an expert who was stepping on the void. He looked very familiar. It was Nangong Lai, whom they had not seen for a long time. He came from the sky, and around him was the divine power of a Mahayana heavenly god. Obviously he had ascended. I haven't paid attention to the grimoire for a long time. I didn't even know that Nangong Lai had ascended. At this time, Nangong Lai had already seen Lin Muyu. He couldn't help but burst into laughter. He flew forward and said, "Your subordinate Nangong Lai pays his respects to Lin General. Why are you here with Wei Chou?" Lin Muyu was overjoyed. "We should be asking you that. When did you ascend? It was so quiet." "Just 2 hours ago." Nangong Lai's face was not without pride. He smiled and said, "Lin General, your subordinate is a second-grade higher deity. I have the title of God of Earth. I control the power of Earth. Since I have ascended, I don't have much to bring with me. So, I broke through the barrier and brought 3,000 brothers of the heaven-punishing army to the Eastern Celestial Realm. I wonder if these 3,000 heaven-punishing army will come in handy? Not only will they come in handy, they are practically timely help." Lin Muyu was overjoyed. Although the heaven-punishing army had also suffered divine punishment and lost their divine power, they could still fly. Moreover, they were very brave. They were even stronger than the crippled gods of the Celestial Realm. Moreover, 3,000 of them just happened to appear when the Celestial Realm needed manpower. If this wasn't timely help, then what was? "Let's go. I will take you to see the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor." Lin Muyu patted Nangong Lai's shoulder. "Yes, let's go." When the group of heaven-punishing army saw their real master, they showed respectful expressions. After saluting, they followed Lin Muyu, Nangong Lai, and Wei Chou and flew straight to Mount Deshang. What? 3,000 heaven-punishing army soldiers? When the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor heard this news, he was already grinning from ear to ear. He strode out of the hall of Deshang and looked at the heaven-punishing army soldiers standing in the square. He couldn't help but laugh. They really sent a bunch of treasures. I was still worried that there was no one guarding the Celestial Realm. Now it seems that there is no need to worry anymore. Xiao chuckled. "Demon Emperor, these heaven-punishing army soldiers are used troops. Now that Nangong Lai has brought them to the Celestial Realm, are you going to reward Nangong Lai with something?" "Of course." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor pondered and said, "Nangong Lai, now that the Eastern Celestial Realm is in a mess, I don't have anything to reward you with. I'll just give you an empty title and confer you the title of General Zhan Lai. You will be in charge of the Imperial Army of the Eastern Celestial Realm. Of course, there is no Imperial Army at the moment. When it is rebuilt, you will be the general. How about it?" "Thank you, Demon Emperor, for your reward." Nangong Lai knelt on one knee and bowed. "Get up, there is no need to be polite." At this time, most of the righteous gods and crippled gods had already gathered in the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Almost everyone was looking at the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor. He coughed and said, "This time, it was thanks to martial god Lin Muyu's timely return that our Eastern Celestial Realm was able to escape this calamity. In this battle, Yu's contributions are unparalleled. As for rewards, I really can't think of anything good to reward him with. How about we split the throne of the Eastern Celestial Realm's King of Gods in half? Me and you will each have half. Yu, what do you think?" Lin Muyu stood below the king's step and shook her head. She said, "There is no need, big brother. There is no need for that. Besides, I have long been indifferent to glory, splendor, wealth and whatnot. I can even give up the title of Prince Qin in the Shattered Cauldron Realm, let alone the Eastern Celestial Realm's King of Gods who only has a dozen or so righteous gods under his command. It is said that mothers don't despise their children for being ugly. You are really an exception. You actually despise your family for being poor. Forget it, you are a martial god, a supreme god. It makes no difference whether you are rewarded or not." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor had a resentful look on his face. He said, You and Feng Jixing are people who have been through hundreds of battles. How do you think the Eastern Celestial Realm should deal with the current situation? Guard them first and wait for the ascended righteous gods to gather." Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and continued, "In addition, send people to investigate and find out clearly where the Devil World's army is and where Ziyan is. After all, they only suffered some losses this time, but they have not truly suffered any serious injuries. The main force of the Devil World is still there." "Yes, let's do that." Ziyao, who was at the side, said, "In this battle, Ziyan was lightly injured by Ayu, so the enchantment he condensed in the God realm has already turned into nothingness. Now it is very easy to find his position. My northern heavenly will can easily find him. Don't worry, leave the investigation to me. Qinin said, Ziyan is constantly looking for new helpers and power. The 9 Underworld's demon monarch is an example. In addition to the nightmare army that big brother you encountered, it is clear that Ziyan will not give up easily. Naturally, Ziyan is looking for ancient power. We cannot just sit and wait for death. In my opinion, we can also seek help. Oh. Xiao smiled and said, Shaoyin, did you find something? Qinin smiled and said, yes, when I investigated the Order of the 6 Realms, I found a very strong force in the Ghost Realm. This force originates from the Quiet Spring, and there is an awe-inspiring righteousness in the power. Therefore, I think that there are gods hidden in the Quiet Spring that we do not know about. We should send people to investigate. Maybe we will find something. Xiao nodded. You are the graceful goddess who controls the Order of the 6 Realms. Your senses cannot be wrong. Then the Eastern Divine World will send some righteous gods to explore the Quiet Spring. The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor said, wait, Mount Dashang needs to be guarded by the main force. Otherwise it will be troublesome if Ziyan returns. In addition, the reason why Mount Dashang was directly attacked was because Mount Dongming, the outpost at the entrance of the Eastern Heaven Realm, was captured. Therefore, I plan to send a team to rebuild the defense line at Mount Dongming. This requires manpower, and our biggest problem now is the lack of manpower. Sun Feng cupped his fists and said, I am willing to go and rebuild Mount Dongming. Qing Ping also nodded, I am also willing. Lin Muyu said, Wei Chou has the Ho Yi Bao, which is very effective against powerful demon gods. It is suitable for defense. Let Wei Chou, Xiao Shi and Big Brother Feng guard Mount Dashang. Demon Emperor Yu, Sister Xiao, Lu Kuei, Xia Yin, and Nangong Lai will lead half of the Xingtian Heavenly Army to rebuild Mount Dongming. As for the rest, Xiao Yin and I will go to the Quiet Spring to look for new divine world powers. Xiao Yin can sense the order and I am enough to deal with danger. The 2 of us are the most suitable. With just the 2 of us, will it really be okay, Yu? The Demon Emperor seemed to be a little worried. No problem. Lin Muyu smiled faintly. The Quiet Spring is located in the Ghost Realm. Demon Emperor, do you think the Ghost Emperors in the Ghost Realm are my match? That's true. Then let's go. I will be at ease if you are with Shaoyin. The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor waved his hand lightly. Then don't stay idle. Carry out your tasks. The rise of the Eastern Divine World depends on us. Yes, Demon Emperor. Everyone answered in unison. At night, the bright moon shone on the attic of the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Are we really leaving immediately? Tang Xiaoxi sat on the railing and asked gloomily. Yes, there are many things waiting to be done in the Eastern Divine World. We all have to contribute. But I want to go with you. Lin Muyu approached her and held her hand. I also want to bring you with me, but the Divine World is too short of manpower. You have the power of a righteous god, so it is better for you to stay here. Sister Chu Yao, Brother Feng, and the others will accompany you. The Quiet Spring is not a fun place. I have been there once and so has Shaoyin. It is safer for us to go together. Then you have to come back early. Tang Xiaoxi gently leaned into his arms. Lin Muyu caressed her hair gently, but his body suddenly froze and did not move for a long time until he turned into countless fireflies and disappeared in the air. That was the scene of a righteous god's death. Tang Xiaoxi tried to grab him but she could not. Her heart was in so much pain that she could not speak. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Ah! Suddenly waking up from the bed, Tang Xiaoxi's body was surrounded by flames, almost igniting the bedding. Her face was slightly pale, so it was a dream. Mu Shaoyin, please be okay. Chapter 1250. At midnight, the gates of hell opened. The inside of the gates of hell was filled with black mist, and one could even faintly hear the cries of ghosts and gods, making one's hair stand on end. Fortunately, it wasn't the first time Lin Muyu and Qinin had come here, so they weren't that afraid. Swish, swish. 2 figures dragged the golden flowing light of the Mahayana heavenly Tao into the gates of hell. In the distance, a long line of people went straight to the bridge of helplessness in the distance. The 6 realms were in chaos and there were many wars. The business of the ghost realm was getting better and better. Countless ghost soldiers drove ghosts to walk on this road to the Yellow Springs, and one could hear the sounds of beatings and wailing at every turn. Lin Muyu flew at a low altitude with Qinin, and looked at everything in the ghost realm with a frown. There were so many dead souls here, which could only mean that the number of dead in the mortal world was innumerable. Who is it? A huge black shadow shouted in the air. It was a ghost dragon leader. Under the light, Lin Muyu saw his appearance clearly. It was extremely ugly, so she said, "We are from the Eastern Divine Realm, and we want to go to the Nether Spring to investigate something." The ghost dragon leader also discovered the identity of the two, and immediately said respectfully, "So it's the two immortals. It's just that the rules of the 6 realms are like iron. Even immortals shouldn't enter the ghost realm. I hope the two immortals can understand. This lowly one can't let you enter the lower ghost realm." Qin smiled faintly and gently raised her palm. The power of law was dense in her palm, and she said, "The order of the 6 realms is in my control. I think I can be exempted from this, right?" "You are the graceful goddess Qin?" The ghost dragon leader was shocked and hurriedly bowed respectfully on the dragon's back and said, "If it's the graceful goddess, then please come in. Please forgive this lowly one for being blind." Lin Muyu smiled at Lin Muyu, grabbed his hand and flew through the air, heading straight for the lower purgatory. But just as they were about to enter the entrance to Inferno, another group of people blocked their way. This time, it was a group of people dressed in golden armor. They were the abyssal prefects of the ghost realm. These were existences that were second only to the 3 ghost emperors. However, in the eyes of Lin Muyu and Qin, these abyssal prefects were far too weak. They were the kind of people who could easily take on 10 abyssal prefects at once. "Exalted immortals, please wait." An official lord carried a huge shovel and said, "I'm the Hengyang official lord. May I know why the two of you are heading to the 18 levels of purgatory?" Lin Muyu said, "We discovered an anomaly in the Netherworld Spring, so we want to investigate it. This is also for the good of your ghost realm. I hope you won't stop us." "Exalted immortal, the affairs of the ghost realm will naturally be handled by the ghost immortals of the ghost realm. There's no need for the gods of the Mahayana heavenly path to intervene. I hope you can focus on how to fight against the devil realm. The ghost realm doesn't need you to intervene." Lin Muyu raised his hand and pulled out the Shenyuan sword. For a moment, the patterns on the sword flowed endlessly and were incomparably dazzling. The power of the Saint martial arts was extremely mighty. "Exalted immortal, what do you want to do?" The Hengyang official lord was shocked. "If the soft approach doesn't work, then the hard approach. What do you think I want to do?" Lin Muyu said lightly. He didn't want to waste time here. Anyway, he had already caused havoc in the ghost realm once, so he didn't mind doing it again now. Qin also pulled out the Donghua sword with a smile and stood side by side with Lin Muyu in the wind, ready to cause havoc in the netherworld. The Hengyang official lord's face was extremely ugly. He said, "Although we are not as strong as the exalted immortal, the dignity of the ghost realm official lord cannot be blasphemed. Since the 2 exalted immortals want to fight, then let's fight." The 5 official lords all took out their weapons, and around them, the densely packed ghost dragon leaders, ghost soldiers, and ghosts also approached one by one, ready to attack Lin Muyu and Qin at any time. "You really dare to fight?" Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. He suddenly opened his left hand and shouted in a low voice, "Heaven and earth, listen to my command." The light of the blood-red thunder surged, and the power of the Saint martial arts erupted. Suddenly, the bodies of the 5 official lords couldn't move. Lin Muyu's arms sank slightly, and their bodies crashed into the ground, creating a large pit. Each of them looked very embarrassed. Although their lives were not in danger, it was embarrassing enough. In front of a group of his subordinates, they didn't even have the power to fight back. Bang, bang, bang. With 3 consecutive sounds, Lin Muyu used the bodies of the 5 official lords to create a large pit in the ground that led straight to the 18th level of hell. Then he raised his hand and threw the 5 official lords into the air. He smiled and said, "Shaoyin, let's go down." Yes. Facing the blood-red ghost flames, the 2 righteous gods flew down. In the depths of the well of reincarnation, one of the 3 ghost emperors, the ghost emperor of 5 directions, slowly opened his eyes. There was a trace of helplessness in his blood-red eyes. He said, "That brat you. Why doesn't he go through the front door? It seems that the idiot weeping blood is going to clash with you again." Before he finished speaking, the voice of an official lord came from outside the stone door. "Your Majesty, there is news from above that 2 righteous gods have broken into the 18th level of hell. Should we go and have a look?" "What are you looking at? What's there to look at?" The ghost emperor of the 5 directions stretched lazily. "The 18 hells are weeping blood's territory. It has nothing to do with us. If there's any crime, let that old bastard weeping blood suffer. Have you forgotten that he tried to take over my territory last month? Weeping blood's cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds recently. It's a good time to let him know that there's always a higher mountain out there. But, the three ghost emperors are on the same side. Isn't that a little inappropriate? Cut the crap. Wake me up when the war god and grace goddess arrive at the well of reincarnation. Your Majesty, how do you know that they're the war god and grace goddess? Even the war god is here. Shouldn't we inform His Majesty Weeping Blood about this? Inform my ass. I'd be happy to see him get a good beating. Yes, Your Majesty. I'll get to it right away. What are you going to do? There's nothing for you to do. Go back to sleep. Yes, boom. The earth trembled and a giant hole appeared in the purgatory. When Lin Muyu broke through the 11th purgatory, the main character could no longer sit still. Amidst the fiery wind and clouds, figures appeared one after another on the land of the 11th purgatory. Among them there were countless prefects, ghost dragon leaders, and even a ghost emperor. It was the legendary Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor, the ghost god that Lin Muyu had met once before. Stop. Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor roared. His voice actually formed a blood-colored barrier in the air. His strength was unfathomable. No wonder he was so arrogant recently and even challenged the ghost emperors of 5 directions. Looking at the 2 righteous gods in the sky, Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor was stunned. Why do you look so familiar? What's wrong? Don't you recognize me, Your Majesty? Lin Muyu smiled. So, it's you, Lin Muyu? Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor was shocked. He originally didn't know the identity of the 2 righteous gods, but he recognized Lin Muyu. In this world, who didn't know that Lin Muyu was conferred the title of martial god by the Mahayana Heavenly Tao? Even the remote ghost realm knew that there was only one martial god in this world. You? Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor trembled with anger. As a martial god, why did you come to smash my 18 purgatory? I'm not smashing, I'm just passing by. Lin Muyu emphasized with a solemn expression. The gate to the 18 purgatory is too hard to find, so I had to forcefully break through the spatial wall. This way it would be more convenient. Xiao Yin and I have an important matter to attend to at Nether Spring. I hope Your Majesty won't obstruct us. To Nether Spring? Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor said, Nether Spring is Dong Lin's territory, why are you going there? Xiao Yin clearly sensed the disorder in Nether Spring, so as the righteous gods of the 6 worlds, we have the responsibility to investigate. After all, the matter in Nether Spring might be beyond the 3 great ghost emperors' ability to handle, so please don't obstruct us. Beyond the 3 great ghost emperors' ability? Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor couldn't help but laugh. Lin Muyu, even if you're a martial god, aren't you being too arrogant? Is there anything in this vast ghost realm that the 3 great ghost emperors can't handle? Since you're so arrogant, I won't be polite with you. Come, let me see how powerful a martial god is. Men, carry my blood blade. A few ghost soldiers came with a battle blade. The blade was as red as blood, no wonder it was called Blood Blade. Bus. Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor suddenly grabbed the blade with a sinister smile and said, If you can defeat me, you can come and go as you please in the 18 layers of hell. No one will stop you. But if you can't beat me, then sorry, there will be no more martial gods in the 6 worlds from now on. You want to kill me? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Why not? Then come. Lin Muyu didn't even draw her sword. She dived down and went straight for Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor. Come, have a taste of your father's blood blade. The blood blade streaked across the sky, and streams of ice-cold air swept over. It was bone-chilling. No wonder the blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor was so arrogant. His cultivation had at least doubled in the past few years, and he was already above the Ghost Emperors of the 5 directions. However, Lin Muyu's cultivation speed was even faster. She closed her fingers and slashed down with sword intent, 30% of her strength. As the sword collided with the blade, Lin Muyu raised her finger and slashed out 3 times in a row. Unexpectedly, the blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor was forced to retreat as his battle boots stomped on the flaming ground of purgatory. A trace of surprise appeared on his face. He didn't expect Lin Muyu to be this powerful. However, there was something even more unexpected. Buzz. Lin Muyu clasped her palms together and unleashed a huge sword intent. 60% of her strength. The hard ground exploded, and Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor's battle blade was directly blown away. Blood scars appeared on his chest. His body could no longer withstand the attacks of AO sword arts. Even the 9 underworlds Demon King couldn't withstand the 60% attack of Lin Muyu, let alone a mere Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor. In the sky, 3 dazzling sword lights hung there, ready to take Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor's life at any time. Lin Muyu looked down at the ground and said indifferently, Admit defeat and I won't kill you. Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor lay on the ground with a pale face and trembling body. He said, I admit defeat. Martial God, please spare my life. That's right. Lin Muyu flipped her palm, and the power of Ao sword arts dissipated. She said, Shaoyin, let's go down. Chapter 1251. The Valley of Fallen Gods was one of the many spiritual mountains in the eastern divine world that was close to the border. Now it had become a temporary base for the demon world. Millions of Mara were hovering in the sky, bustling with activity. On the peak of the mountain, a group of holy king and demon generals stood there respectfully, surrounding one person. This person was naturally Ziyan. His expression was gloomy as he held the god-destroying tower and said, In this battle, how many of Mara's troops did we lose? Answer me truthfully. A demon general said, Nearly 7 million, your majesty. 7 million. Ziyan's eyes were filled with deep hatred. A mere battle cost me 7 million Mara's troops. What a martial god, what a mad god. I will turn you into ashes sooner or later. Just you wait. Holy King Baifeng said in a low voice, Your Majesty, the enemy is strong while we are weak. Lin Muyu's holy martial power is incomparably strong and can raise a mortal's cultivation to the god realm. Our Mara is not even worth mentioning in front of these righteous gods. Our advantage in numbers cannot be shown at all. In my opinion, why don't we return to the demon world and continue to cultivate the god-destroying tower to nurture stronger demon gods? What did you say? Ziyan grinned coldly. Baifeng, I know you have good intentions, but if you dare to say such words again, I guarantee that you will suffer a fate worse than death. Your subordinate? Your subordinate knows his mistake. Baifeng took a few steps back and knelt on the ground. The group of Holy King Baifeng said in unison, Holy King Baifeng was just speaking without thinking. Your Majesty, please forgive us. Ziyan looked at the glowing god-destroying tower and said, Lin Muyu, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, and the rest think that the demon world only has the weak Mara. They are gravely mistaken. I will prove to them how powerful the demon world is. Baifeng was stunned. Your Majesty, you have a plan? That's right. Ziyan looked up at the sky and said, Why is the heavenly path of the Mahayana plane called the heavenly path of the Mahayana plane? That's because there are 3 ancestral gods protecting the people of the 6 realms. On the Golden Mountain, which is known as the Holy Land, Fuxi and his 4 disciples have been resisting the devouring of the nether servant Behemoth. Fuxi is like a bright lamp that illuminates the gods of the 6 realms. This time, we won't do anything else but extinguish this bright lamp and use the divine power of the nether servant to create the strongest warrior of the demon realm. Let's see how the gods of the heavenly path of the Mahayana plane will resist. The strongest warrior of the devil world? Baifeng was stunned. Ziyan laughed heartily and said, In the legends of humans, Goddess Nuwa created humans. Then, in the legends of the demon realm, it was Ancestor Emperor Ziyan who created the demon race. The group of Holy King was stunned. No one knew what Ziyan was talking about. Ziyan stood up and held the god-destroying tower majestically. He said, Pass down my order. Holy King Haifeng will lead 5 million Mara to attack the western divine realm. Holy King Han Yen will lead 5 million Mara to attack the eastern divine realm. Holy King Hung Kong will lead 5 million Mara to attack the northern heavenly realm. Execute this immediately and fight to the death. If you don't conquer these 3 realms, you don't need to come back. Yes, your Majesty. The 3 holy kings turned around and gathered the army of the devil world as if they were under a mind manipulation spell. What are we doing? Baifeng asked in shock. What are we doing? Ziyan chuckled and said, You will know very soon. Baifeng, gather all the demon generals and holy king level experts. Follow me to attack gold in half a day. I want the 4 realms to know the determination of the devil world and pull out Fuxi, this guiding light. Baifeng, yes. Half a day passed quickly. Not long after, Ziyan led the army of the devil world and rushed into the sky. Their target was gold. On gold, the flowers of a few holy trees were falling one after another. These flowers were glowing with a faint golden brilliance and were incomparably holy. However, they were still withering as if foretelling something big was about to happen. Master, they are coming. Fan Yang cupped his fists and said, Ziyan's current strength has reached an unimaginable level. With the help of the god-destroying pagoda and the god-beast Shiming, I'm afraid we will not be able to stop them. Fuxi stood under a towering holy tree. He was dressed in a white robe and had the demeanor of an immortal. He said calmly, Master has ordered us to guard this place. This is our fate. If fate dictates it, we will not be able to escape. Once we leave, gold will definitely be devoured by the god beast Shiming. Then the Eastern Realm will be devoured next. At that time, the entire 6 realms will not be able to escape the fate of being devoured. How will we face the common people? How will we face the gods of the heaven beyond heavens? But Meiyu frowned and said, Master, why is it that only our sect has to bear all of this? Fushi nodded and said, This is fate. The gods of the realm beyond heaven aren't omnipotent and omniscient. The demon world has come too quickly, and perhaps even Master didn't expect it to be like this. We have to survive this tribulation, and even if we can't, we still have to prepare the formation. If Ziyin wants to kill us, we can't let Shiming continue to devour us. Wan Xing looked at Fushi worriedly and said, Master? Master, don't say any more. Set up the formation, they are coming. Yes. In the sky, dark clouds rolled over. The people of the devil world had really come. Apart from that, a loud roar came from the horizon. It was the angry roar of the god beast Shiming. It was ready to attack gold again. They are coming. Fan Yang lightly swung his treasured sword and stepped on the star position. He said, Be careful. Fushi stood on the main star position and looked at the devils in the sky with a calm expression. With a light wave of the infinite sword in his hand, a huge light from the formation soared into the sky and protected the whole of gold from being invaded. In the clouds, the devil world's army was ready to fight. A person flew forward and held the god-destroying pagoda in his hand. He smiled and said, Heavenly Emperor Fushi, you once commanded the 4 great god realms and were known as the #1 person in the 6 realms. How does it feel to be surpassed? Fushi smiled faintly and said, Wind is everywhere. You can surpass it for a moment, but can you surpass it for a lifetime? Ziyin, as the devil lord, why don't you think for the devil world and make such a big fuss? Do you think the Mahayana heavenly Tao will let the devil world go? Ziyin laughed loudly and said, Don't give me that. You make it sound like you will let the devil world go if I don't kill them. You righteous gods have always been hypocritical. Our devil world's war is called killing, but you killing the people of the devil world is called eliminating demons and protecting the Tao. Do you have the final say in this Tao? In my opinion, everything I'm doing now is subduing demons. I'm subduing you hypocritical evildoers and subduing your filthy inner demons. Stop talking nonsense and prepare to receive my attack. Fushi smiled leisurely and said, You seem to be the one who talks the most. Damn it. Ziyin was flustered and exasperated. He suddenly took out the god-destroying pagoda and roared. The light from the pagoda soared into the sky, and the entire sky seemed to be illuminated by a deep purple light. The power of the devil world was reflected rapidly and seeped into the god-destroying pagoda. It attacked the gold god-destroying pagoda with a vast heavenly might. That beam of purple light was incomparably tyrannical. Bang! The power of the god-destroying pagoda crashed onto the golden enchantment, and at the same time, the golden enchantment trembled. Fushi, Fanyang, Miue and the others who were standing in the center of the enchantment also trembled. Even Hao Chen, who had a weaker cultivation, had blood flowing out from the corner of his mouth. It was just one attack, but the god-destroying pagoda had already depleted close to 30% of the enchantment's energy. Hao Chen, control your mind. Fushi gently waved the immeasurable sword in his hand, bringing with it waves of peaceful ripples that filled the entire enchantment, calming the demonic thoughts and shock that seeped into the hearts of the 4 disciples. Master, I'm fine? Hao Chen nodded. Prepare for the second attack. Yes. In the sky, the second beam of light arrived in less than 10 seconds. This time, Ziyin was completely flustered and exasperated. He looked as though he would not give up until the god-destroying pagoda was destroyed. Boom. The light from the god-destroying pagoda crashed into the enchantment again. This time, the entire enchantment started to tremble, and the flowers on the saint tree at the back had already started to wilt. Pff. Wan Xing and Hao Chen vomited blood at the same time. This attack had depleted the enchantment's energy to less than 30%. Master, I'm afraid we can't withstand the third attack. Miue's face was pale as she muttered, If little junior brother was here, how good would it be? Fushi's gaze was indifferent. With some disappointment he said, You has his own mission to complete, and this is our mission. Hold on, the more energy the god-destroying pagoda is depleted, the more energy the demon world will deplete. If we die for the Mahayana heavens Tao, it will be worth it. In the sky, Ziyan's fierce roar could be heard, Damn it, it's still not broken? Ming, you bastard, what are you waiting for? Swallow this god-destroying pagoda quickly. Roar, 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 the clouds rolled and the huge beast Ming appeared. Its huge mouth looked like it was going to swallow the heavens and the earth. It opened its mouth, and its ferocious fangs bit down on the golden enchantment. Ming's fangs bit through the golden enchantment, but it was not good for Ming either. He suffered the continuous backlash of the enchantment, and the corner of his mouth had already split open. Blood splattered and he screamed continuously. You're finally willing to appear. Fushi's brows relaxed and he revealed a relaxed look. Master, the enchantment can't withstand it anymore. Fan Yang shouted. Fushi said, don't panic. As he spoke, Fushi carried the immeasurable sword and flew up, facing Ziyan's third attack. Buzz buzz buzz, the god-destroying pagoda screeched and the third attack was about to be unleashed. All of you go and die. Ziyan roared and the pagoda pointed straight at god-destroying pagoda. A huge beam of energy flew out. But Fushi, who was in the air, faced the attack with confidence. He suddenly held the immeasurable sword in front of him, and rays of golden light flowed out, causing the group of demon generals and the Holy King to be dumbfounded. They had never seen such a powerful god before. He actually used his own strength to fight against the god-destroying pagoda 3 times. 10,000 immeasurable techniques subdue demons. Fushi shouted. Instantly, the beam of light from the god-destroying pagoda was swallowed and transformed by the immeasurable sword's light. How is this possible? Ziyan turned pale with fright. Fushi spun and landed on the ground. The immeasurable sword in his hand suddenly pointed at the god-beast Ming on the other side. He shouted, evil creature, since you have fallen into the demonic path, let me purify you. An extremely strong light shot into the sky, and the energy from the god-destroying pagoda 3 times exploded at once. Roar, 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 the god-beast Ming's body trembled and cracked, and its cries echoed in the sky. Chapter 1252. Golden lava-like energy flowed out from the cracks on Ming's body. Ming's body couldn't withstand such a powerful impact and started to crumble. These golden cracks outlined his entire body that was hidden in the darkness. It was actually hundreds of meters long. This giant beast was really huge. Roar, roar. After a final roar, Ming's body suddenly exploded, lighting up the entire sky. Damn it, despicable. Ziyan's face was pale as he roared, despicable Fushi, die, you old bastard. God-destroying tower, 4th strike. This time, even Fushi couldn't dodge in time. The god-destroying tower's light almost pierced through the hole of gold. With a miserable howl, Hao Qin, who had the lowest cultivation among the 4 disciples, had already fallen in the sky and turned into a shattered star. 4th junior brother. Miu, Fan Yang and the others were pale. Calm your mind and protect gold. Fushi suddenly raised the infinite sword and a huge Taishu avatar appeared under his feet. This is our calamity. My Fushi sect will not perish here. Fan Yang, Miu, and Wan Xing raised their swords and released their divine power. They merged with Fushi's power and formed an incomplete barrier. In the sky, Ziyan laughed loudly. What a joke. You think you're all righteous. Come, 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 let me fulfill your righteous act. God-destroying tower, 5th strike. Boom. Flames soared into the sky. It was only a single strike, but it had actually destroyed half of the barrier. Wah! Wan Xing groaned and took several steps back. Her sword was broken, and her divine meridians were destroyed. She knelt on the ground weakly and murmured, Master, disciple is useless. Swish, swish, swish. Her body started to turn into light and became a shattered star in the universe. Wan Xing. Miu's tears flowed down her face. She looked up at Fushi and asked while crying, Why? Master, why did you do this? Just take it as, for the sake of faith. Fushi raised his immeasurable sword again to receive the 6th attack from the god-destroying pagoda. Amidst the explosion, although Fushi had blocked the attack, Fan Yang let out a miserable groan. His body fell into the starry sky along with the shattered corner of the metal, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. Senior brother, Miu spat out a mouthful of blood. The sword in her hand had already been broken into 2. She muttered, Master, what should we do? Master, what should we do? Fushi's robe fluttered in the wind. He seemed to have aged a lot, and the white hair on his temples had been replaced by silver. He said in a low voice, Miu, hide behind Master. Quick, Master. Miu wept, kneeled on the ground and crawled behind Fushi. Fushi, what else do you have? Just use it or else I will kill all of your disciples. Ah. In the sky, Ziyin held the god-destroying pagoda and laughed maniacally. Holy King Baifeng, who was behind him, remained silent. She knew that the old man in front of her was once the ruler of the three realms. But now, he had fallen to such a miserable state for the sake of the common people. It was truly lamentable. Fuxi ignored Ziyin. Instead, he raised his immeasurable sword lightly. Rays of starlight appeared beneath his feet. At the same time, the divine veins in his body shone faintly. He said indifferently, "One star jade light protects the common people." Buzz. Profound energy slowly rose, and a resplendent star condensed beside Fuxi's left leg. He continued to shout in a low voice, "Two stars opening sun protects the spirit light." A second star appeared under his armpit. Power continuously surged, but Fuxi seemed even older. He swung his sword and lightly stepped on the ground with his left leg. He said, "Three stars jade scale protects the common people." When the third star rose, Fuxi's face became even paler. Miue's face was full of tears as she cried, "Master, don't use the seven stars curse. Master, don't." The seven stars curse was Fuxi's unique ultimate art. It could only be used once in one's life. After using it, one would be like a lamp that had its oil extinguished and turn into dust. Fuxi didn't listen to Miue's words. He continued to step on the ground and said, "Four stars Migras size Rong Zheng." Master. Miue's entire body trembled. In the sky, a ray of light shot down. God-destroying pagoda, the seventh attack. Peng. The fierce light blasted onto the seven-star seal in front of Fuxi, causing Fuxi's body to tremble slightly. However, the seven-star seal was still intact. 5 stars Fecta suppresses evil. The stars rose with a buzzing sound and landed on Fuxi's left arm. It was as if they were embedded into his body. 6 stars Divine Jade assemble seal. The 6th star rose. Ziyin, who was in the sky, was already trembling. He could sense that the strength of this old man in front of him had far surpassed his own. In fact, it had far surpassed the god-destroying pagoda. You are courting death, courting death. Ziyin roared angrily and activated the 8th attack of the god-destroying pagoda. Boom. The 7-star seal didn't move. Instead, it suffered from the backlash of the god-destroying pagoda. Some demon generals were killed. Fuxi's eyes slowly opened. They were as vast and boundless as the stars. He said softly, 7 stars dub he stands in the heavens. The moment his heel lightly knocked on the ground, the surrounding laws seemed to have been reconstructed. The sky was filled with golden ancient runes walls, causing the densely packed Mara to crash into the walls and shatter. The people of the demon domain hated this kind of righteous energy. They were already in a state of chaos. They were like headless flies bumping into everything. In a blink of an eye, more than half of the 10 million Mara that Ziyin had brought were dead or injured. Enough. Enough, Ziyin roared angrily. God-destroying pagoda, 9th attack. Boom. It was still unable to penetrate the 7-star seal. Miue. Fuxi's eyes turned hollow as he said, Master's injuries are too severe. I can't activate the 7 stars curse's counterattack. Master. Cough cough. Master has blocked the 10th attack of the god-destroying pagoda. Hurry up and leave. Master will use the Imperial Wind Art to send you off. Master, don't. Miue held onto the broken sword and kept begging. However, her body was rapidly wrapped by a ball of light. She couldn't help but fly into the star river behind her. Master, don't. In her remaining vision, Miue saw Fuxi's pale face starting to crumble. It turned into golden sand and flowed into the star river. An unparalleled god had passed away just like that. Boom. The 10th attack of the god-destroying pagoda still couldn't break through the 7 stars curse's seal. Fuxi looked at Ziyin with hollow eyes and smiled faintly. My disciples will definitely slay the demon and let evil people like you receive the punishment they deserve. The moment he finished his sentence, Fuxi's body disappeared with the wind. He turned into a wisp of sand in the star river. Nothing was left. Even the immeasurable sword turned into sand along with its owner. Ziyin stood in the air and trembled. He looked at the dark god-destroying pagoda and couldn't help but curse. Bastard. Bastard. You bastard. Why did you do this? Bastard. Although he had won, he was still defeated. He wasn't happy at all. Ancestor Emperor, Baifeng flew over and said softly, Ancestor Emperor, please calm down. Gold has been destroyed and Fuxi is dead. Our mission is considered a success. Ancestor Emperor, you don't have to be angry. Is it a success? Ziyan's mouth was full of hatred. What kind of a success is this? I played with this old thing in the palm of my hand. He used the power of my god-destroying pagoda to kill Shiming and even used the 7 stars curse to make me helpless. What kind of success is this? Tell me, what kind of success is this? Bai Feng was silent. At this time, a holy king flew over and pointed at the light left behind by the explosion of the giant beast, saying, Ancestor Emperor Shiming has gathered the power of the devil flame for millions of years. Its spirit bone is full of devil chi and the spiritual power of our devil world. Since Ancestor Emperor has cultivated the power of reconstruction, why don't you resurrect Shiming and use its spirit bone to create new warriors? That's right. I haven't completely lost. Ziyan suddenly turned around and looked at the spirit bone of the giant beast, saying, All of you come over here. Tens of thousands of spirit bones surged over, and Ziyan clenched his fist, instantly crushing the spirit bones into tiny pieces. At the same time, countless strands of demonic chi surged out, and when the entire Ming servant's body was split into 4 small figures, Bai Feng and the other Saint King-level demon realm experts were all stunned. The strength of these 4 meatballs was enough to make one's hair stand on end, and together, they were far stronger than the Ming servant itself. Evil aura. They had absorbed the evil aura of the God World War to become so strong. Bai Feng's eyes were indifferent, but there was a hint of hatred between his brows. These balls of energy were like water but also like meat. The only thing that didn't change was their violent aura. Once they were created, they were born to kill. When that happened, the 6 realms would probably be even more chaotic. Ziyan's mouth was full of a proud smile. He opened his palm and used his own devil chi to nourish these newborn devil world warriors. Not long after, the 4 newborn devils had already revealed their embryonic forms. Each of them had a different expression and their bodies had become huge. They were as tall as 5 or 6 people. They were all big guys, but the devil chi in their bodies was also very strong. Bai Feng, the Holy King, frowned and said, Your Majesty, won't their huge bodies affect their speed? You can try. Before Bai Feng's voice fell, a cold wind suddenly swept past behind her. A giant axe with a sharp edge was at her waist. She didn't know when, but one of the Devil World warriors had already appeared behind her. His speed was so fast that it could be said that he was silent. How is it? Ziyan's mouth was full of a proud smile. Do you still think that their bodies will affect their speed? From now on, they are the 4 heavenly kings of our devil world. No. Bai Feng sighed. The stronger the 4 heavenly kings were, the more chaotic the 6 realms would be. The terrifying thing was that the 4 heavenly kings were too strong. Almost every one of them was above the level of the devil king of the 9 underworlds. Ziyan didn't just absorb the spirit bones of Shiming in the star universe. He even mixed a part of the divine power of Fuxi Luanxing and Hao Qin in the remains of Jin. How could such a monster not be strong? Ghost Realm, 18 levels of purgatory. Swoosh. The moment she rushed out of the flames, Lin Muyu suddenly felt her mind in chaos. She suddenly stopped in the air with a pale face. She murmured, What happened? What happened? What's wrong, big brother you? Qinin asked. I suddenly felt uneasy. Something must have happened, but I can't sense it. Qinin clenched her fist and said, I also feel that something happened, but I also can't sense it. This place is too far from the God world. Let's go, Quiet Spring is already here. We should finish the mission earlier and then return to the God world. Yes. Chapter 1253. A desolate forest lay on the ground. This was where the Quiet Spring was located. Back then, Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor joined forces to defeat the guardian of the Quiet Spring, East Unicorn Ghost Emperor. Now, several years had passed. Everything had changed except for the deathly aura of the Quiet Spring. The ground was filled with ghost soldiers wailing miserably. They wailed all day long because they were vengeful spirits that had been forcefully kept in the ghost domain. Their bodies were enduring the torture of the 18 levels of hell every single moment. Even though they had become the Ghost Emperor's subordinates, it was the same. This kind of pain had not decreased by a single day, nor had it disappeared. The area within 10 miles of the Quiet Spring was guarded by a large number of ghost dragon leaders flying back and forth in the sky. There were even many ghost realm lords guarding the area. Lin Muyu and Qinin couldn't fly in directly. They could only fly to the ground and negotiate with the guards. From afar, a pot-bellied official lord walked over with a spear in his hand. He said respectfully, I'm the official lord of the East Sea under the rule of His Majesty the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor. May I ask what brings the two gods to the Nether Spring? Lin Muyu said, This lady beside me is Qinyin, the goddess of grace. She is in charge of the Order of the Six Realms, so she discovered that the order in the Nether Spring has been completely disrupted. We suspect that something big has happened in the Nether Spring, so we came here without permission. Please allow me and Little Ian to enter the Nether Spring to investigate. You two want to enter the Quiet Spring? The East Sea Prefecture Lord was slightly startled. Why can't I? Lin Muyu was a little puzzled and asked, Official Monarch, could it be that something unusual has happened in the Nether Spring? If there is, I hope you can tell us honestly. There's nothing unusual, but the Lord of the East Sea official hesitated for a moment and said, I dare not hide this from you, Martial God and Grace Goddess. In the past 2 years, the Quiet Spring has indeed been suspicious, and its hostility has increased a lot. The power from the Quiet Spring has also increased by at least 5 times. More importantly, the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor has been cultivating in seclusion in the Quiet Spring for as long as 3 years and has not sent any messages to the outside world. I can only lead my troops to guard this place and dare not to be negligent. Dong Lin has been in seclusion for 3 years? Lin Muyu was stunned. Yes. Ordinary ghostly immortals wouldn't go into seclusion for so long, right? No, the ghost god's body is cold in nature, so he must return to the surface every once in a while to absorb yang energy, so I am very worried. I suspect that Your Majesty Ghost Emperor has encountered some trouble cultivating in the Nether Spring, but I, as a subject, I cannot overstep my authority. I cannot enter the Nether Spring without permission, or it will be an act of betrayal. So that's how it is. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and looked at the Lord of the East Sea official. Your loyalty is admirable. How about this? Xiao Yin and I will enter the Nether Spring to investigate. This way you don't have to enter personally and you won't be accused of betrayal. When the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor asks, you can just say that Xiao Yin and I forced our way into the Nether Spring. The Lord of the East Sea official couldn't help but laugh. Although I'm just a lord, I'm not that despicable. We don't know whether the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor is dead or alive, so it's reasonable for the two of you to enter the Nether Spring to investigate. There's no need for you two to force your way in. I'll take you there right now. Then, thank you very much. Lin Muyu was a little surprised. The East Unicorn Ghost Emperor was a very narrow-minded person, but she didn't expect his subordinates to be so understanding and reasonable. It was simply very surprising. Flying along the withered ground, the Lord of the East Sea official couldn't fly very fast. Lin Muyu and Qinyin could only fly slowly. The closer they got to the Nether Spring, the denser the Yin Qi became, so much so that Lin Muyu and Qinyin had to use their divine energy to resist it. Suddenly, the avatars of the martial god and the graceful goddess appeared faintly beside the two. The group of ghost dragon leaders and ghost soldiers were dumbfounded. It was a realm that they yearned for but could never reach. Soon, the huge entrance to the Nether Spring appeared in front of them, but it was guarded by a large number of ghost soldiers. Disperse, everyone disperse. The Lord of the East Sea official shouted in a low voice. His prestige was quite good, so the group of ghost soldiers dispersed one after another. At the same time they looked at Lin Muyu and Qinyin in awe. Supreme Immortals, once you enter the Nether Spring, it will be very difficult to come out. Have you made up your mind? The Lord of the East Sea official asked in a low voice. Don't worry. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. She had been to the Nether Spring before and naturally knew how powerful it was. But now that she was a martial god, her state of mind had been improved several times. She was confident that she could come out of the Nether Spring unscathed. In front of them, the Nether Spring was like a mirror upside down on the ground. There were no ripples on the surface of the water. In fact, there was no water at all. The Nether Spring was called a spring, but it was actually an illusory world. Let's go. Lin Muyu jumped into the Nether Spring, and Qinyin followed without hesitation with the Donghua sword. Swoosh, swoosh, 2 ripples of light spread out on the surface of the Nether Spring. The Lord of the East Sea official looked at it quietly and said to himself, I hope you can solve the problem in the Nether Spring. Don't let the Ghost Emperor continue to sink. The light flashed, and Lin Muyu and Qinyin had already fallen into the first layer of the Nether Spring. Xiaoyin, hold my hand. Okay. The two held hands and their minds were connected. This way they could maintain the same state of mind in the Nether Spring. The first layer was the blessed shade world. The flowers and birds were peaceful, and the pedestrians were interwoven. There was almost no trace of hostility here. Qinyin held Lin Muyu's hand and walked on the grass. She took a deep breath and smiled. It's so nice here, Lin Muyu nodded. Only those with pure hearts would be able to feel peace here. Otherwise, what they would feel would be empty violence and lust that had nowhere to vent. Buzz. Ripples surged in front of them. In the blink of an eye, the blessed shade world had disappeared and was replaced by the second layer, the lonely world. The surroundings had turned into a boundless desert. Not only was it empty, but it was also very boring. However, Lin Muyu and Qinin were not afraid of this level of loneliness at all. Swoosh, swoosh, a strong wind blew in the desert. It was so strong that they could barely open their eyes. However, Lin Muyu held Qin Yin's hand tightly and activated her sacred martial power to resist the wind. Then she said in a low voice, "Xiaoyin, how are you?" "I'm fine." Qin Yin squinted her beautiful eyes. Her body was surrounded by dense order power. It was naturally not a problem for the two righteous gods to resist this level of wind. In the end, the wind that was originally intended to blow the two apart failed. The lonely world collapsed on its own. Swoosh. The two of them abruptly descended into the world of the third level. This level was a world of slaughter. Even though the two of them were holding hands, they could still see a bloody and chaotic battlefield in front of them. The faces of countless enemies appeared before their eyes. The silhouettes of the Ashen Crane, Lin Yu, Qin Yi, the Demon Emperor, Lei Chong and the others appeared one by one. They could even hear Lei Chong's furious roars. Go to hell. The battle axe swept across. Lei Chong's attack was still so forceful and overbearing. However, Lin Muyu was no longer the same as before. She hugged Qin Yin in her arms and shouted, "You are not my match when you are alive. Do you think you can defeat me when you are dead? Get lost." Her shout turned into a surge of sacred martial power. Lei Chong's figure instantly disappeared without a trace. Lin Muyu flew forward with Qin Yin. She coldly looked at the enemies that appeared in the bloody battlefield. "Lin Muyu, I want you to die." In the sky, a person roared arrogantly. It was Luolan, the only god in the mortal world at that time. She was also the culprit who killed Lei Hong. Lin Muyu raised her head and looked at him. Her eyes were calm as she said, "You are just a willpower that no longer exists. Why are you still pretending to be mighty here?" Luolan's figure then disappeared. Lin Muyu continued to fly forward. This was a battle of the state of mind. Obviously, none of these illusions could shake Lin Muyu's will. If she was so easily shaken by these enemies, she would not be a martial god. Soon many people appeared on the ground. Jiyao, LV Zhao, Sage Sovereign, Yangshang, Duo La, Qinyu and the others appeared one by one. They all cursed and roared at the top of their lungs. "Lin Muyu, return my life. Lin Muyu, I want you to die. Xin, you have no right to kill me. I refuse to accept this. I am the Empress. You are not worthy. Go to hell." "Qinin, what kind of Empress are you? What kind of ruler are you? You are just a bad woman whose hands are stained with blood." Lin Muyu looked down at them. Qinin, who was in her arms, couldn't help but close her eyes. She had killed too many people. She didn't want to see it anymore. Her inner demons were stirring up trouble. "Xiaoyin, don't think too much. Everything we do is for the people we cherish." Lin Muyu said gently. "Yes." Qinin nodded. Lin Muyu raised her left palm and pointed it at the ground. Countless sword chi flew out. She shouted in a low voice, "Under the heavenly Tao, you are all ants. What is there to talk about revenge?" Dot. Boom. The ground sank. The enemies in the chaos disappeared one by one. They successfully passed this level. Light suddenly appeared in front of them. The fourth level, the world of greed. Lin Muyu had seen the world of greed before. She immediately said, "Xiaoyin, guard your will. This level's test is what you want the most. You must endure it." Qinin was a little confused. When she looked down, her delicate body trembled slightly. She was completely stunned. She saw a person. She saw an old figure sitting in the depths of the palace. He was draped in an imperial robe and was reading memorials and flamboyant calligraphy. His expression was as peaceful and benevolent as it was in the past. It was just that he coughed frequently, indicating that he was not in good health. "Father," Qinin murmured. She unknowingly left Lin Muyu's hand and walked towards the palace in the distance. "Xiaoyin, don't go," Lin Muyu shouted loudly. However, Qinin couldn't hear her. The heart demon of the world of greed could only be resolved by herself. The scene suddenly changed to a beautiful spring scene. It was the hunting ground of the royal family. Peach blossoms were in full bloom. Under one of the peach blossoms, an 8-year-old Qinin was holding a specially made thin sword. She was waving it with all her strength. Her palm was enshrouded with the faint light of the god-binding chains. On the side, Qin Jin still looked like a middle-aged man. He was wearing battle armor. He smiled and said, "Yes, that's it. Shaoyin is really powerful." Cough cough, it's a pity that Father's sword skills are clumsy and can't teach you anything. However, Father will definitely find you the most powerful teacher. Shaoyin, who do you want to be your teacher? Qin Yin withdrew her long sword and said in a tender voice, "Father, I want big brother Qin Lei to be my teacher. His sword skills are very powerful." Qin Jin couldn't help but laugh. "That child Lei is powerful, but his sword skills are not suitable for you. You are a princess, the heir to the empire. It's fine for you to learn sword skills. But if you want to learn sword skills, do you want to be a female general who goes into battle and kills the enemy? Why not?" Qin Yin blinked her eyes and looked at her father innocently. Qin Jin smiled. "You can. As long as Shaoyin wants it, Father will find it for you." Chapter 1254. The scene changed once more. Qin Yin had grown up and her father had aged. Under the window, Qin Jin was combing his daughter's hair with a doting expression on his face. He said with a smile, "Shaoyin is looking more and more like your mother. Just as beautiful, just as dignified and virtuous." Qin Yin stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, "I'm not virtuous." Qin Jin couldn't help but laugh. "But you have to learn to be virtuous. Don't spend all your time with Shaoxi thinking about fishing, hunting, and practicing martial arts. Don't forget that you are the heir to the empire. You are the future ruler of the country, not some wandering hero of the pugilistic world." "I know. Father, you're here again. All right. I won't talk about it anymore." Outside the window, Qin Yin looked at her past self and her father, who had passed away a long time ago. Tears flowed from her eyes as she murmured softly, "Father, Father." Rustle. Lin Mu walked over from behind. He had already entered Qin Yin's illusion. He gently held onto Qin Yin's shoulder and said, "Shaoyin, this is all an illusion. You have to see through it." "I know." With how intelligent Qin Yin was, how could she not see through it? She bit her red lips and said softly, "I just want to see him again, to see him in the family." Lin Mu's heart ached. It was more than just heartache. Even he couldn't give Qin Yin all his love. Qin Jin's love for his daughter was unreservedly. It was a love that gave up on himself. There was probably no one else in the world who could love Qin Yin like that. Swoosh. The palaces and pavilions in front of them disappeared one by one. Instead, a spiritual aura soared in the air as if it had penetrated through the depths of hell to reach here. It was a familiar aura. Oh my God, Lin Mu's body trembled. As a martial god, he could naturally sense this aura. It was Qin Yin. That's right, it was Qin Jin. This aura originated from him. And it was not an illusion. It was the real Qin Jin's aura. What happened? Lin Mu looked left and right, puzzled. Could it be that Qin Jin hadn't been reincarnated all these years? His soul had always remained in the ghost domain? However, this wisp of aura was extremely chaotic. It shuttled back and forth in the space as if it wanted to condense but was unable to do so. Pa. A strand of sacred martial power condensed in Lin Mu's palm. He had decided to help Qin Jin condense his body. Sacred martial power slowly seeped in, greatly strengthening Qin Jin's soul power. Soon strands of long white hair and a robe appeared in the air. Qin Jin was not wearing the royal robe that he had worn when he passed away. Instead, he was wearing an azure robe, which gave him the air of an immortal. He stood in the wind blankly, looking at everything around him, not knowing what to do. "Imperial Father? Is that you?" Qin Yin's entire body was trembling, and even her voice was trembling. Lin Mu said, "It's him, it's Imperial Father, there's no need to suspect." As he spoke, he strengthened his sacred martial power again. For a moment, Qin Jin sighed faintly, and slowly exhaled a mouthful of impure air. Then he looked kindly at Qin Yin and Lin Mu and said in astonishment, "Shaoyin. You. Is it the two of you?" "It's me." "It's me." Qin Yin rushed forward and hugged her father tightly. She cried, "Imperial Father, I can still see you again." "I can still see you again." How could Qin Jin not feel sentimental? Tears streamed down his face as he said, "My Shaoyin. My Shaoyin. In this chaotic world, I've dreamed of you countless times. My Shaoyin. Is this real? I felt a power calling out to me. I know that you're here. I've finally seen you." Qin Yin raised her head and with tears in her eyes she said, "Imperial Father, it's me. Where am I?" Qin Jin asked. Lin Mu walked forward and knelt on one knee. She said, the ghost domain's nether spring. The soul energy here is extremely vigorous, and it's precisely because of this that your soul was able to remain here for over a decade without dissipating. It's also because of Xiao Yin's sincere love that you were able to find this greedy world. So, I'm still dead. Qin Jin looked at Qin Yin and couldn't help but smile. He said, however, I'm already satisfied to be able to see Xiao Yin again. Xiao Yin, you and you have both grown up. Imperial Father has a whole new level of respect for you. Qin Yin smiled tearfully. Imperial Father, it's been over a decade. How can Xiao Yin still not grow up? How did you survive all these years? Qin Jin gently stroked his daughter's long hair. He said, I've always been in a deep sleep. Most of the time I've been dreaming. You and Ale appeared countless times in my dreams. What happened after that? Qin Yin said, let big brother you tell you. You go ahead. Qin Jin looked at Lin Muyu. His eyes were also filled with fatherly love, although not as much as Qin Yin's. Lin Muyu nodded and said, after Qin Yi murdered you, Imperial Father, he raised an army of 500,000 in Lingnan. He called it the Kingdom of Iha and crossed the Qinling Mountains to attack Cangnan Province. Not long after, they surrounded Lanyan City. When Lanyan City fell, in order to protect Xiao Yin, big brother Qin Lei and big brother Chu Huayin died in battle. After that, Luolan went down the mountain and killed Great Deacon Lei Hong of the Divine Temple. The entire empire fell apart. How could this be? How could this be? Qin Jin blamed himself. It's all my fault. It's all my fault for being too conceited. I thought I could control everything, but I didn't expect that I would still miscalculate Qin Yi. I didn't expect him to become like this, to become so vicious. What happened after that? What happened after that? Well, it's a long story. To put it simply, Lin Muyu thought for a moment and said, after that, Tang Lan and Su Muyun sent troops to recover Lanyan City and put Xiao Yin on the throne. After that, the demon race appeared and conquered many territories. In short, we won in the end. The empire unified the eastern and western continents. Xiao Yin became the true ruler of the world, and the empire's name was still the Great Qin. Well, that's good. That's good. Qin Jin was clearly a little emotional. Even his fists were clenched tightly. He said, but now, why did you and Xiao Yin appear in a place where only the dead would come? Qin Yin couldn't help but laugh. Imperial Father, big brother, you and I are gods now. Gods? Oh, no wonder you're so powerful. You're even more powerful than those ghost emperors in the lower purgatories. Qin Jin didn't really understand how powerful gods were, but he knew that they must be very powerful. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to come and go as they pleased. Imperial Father, can Xiao Yin take you out of here? Qin Yin asked. No need. Qin Jin shook his head. I belong here. I can't leave. You and you should go to where you belong. But, Qin Yin bit her red lips. She was still unwilling to give up. She looked at Lin Muyu with pleading eyes. Lin Muyu clenched her fists and said softly, Xiao Yin really can't take Imperial Father out of here. What? Big brother, you're the martial god. What can't you do? Qin Yin was unwilling to give up. Because this goes against the laws of the Six Realms. Lin Muyu said gently. You're the protector of the Order of the Six Realms. You should know better than me that Imperial Father's soul has been in the Ghost Realm for too long. It's become extremely weak. If it weren't for my holy martial power, Imperial Father wouldn't even be able to say a single word. If we forcefully take Imperial Father's soul and leave this place to seek a way to be reborn on the surface, then it's possible that Imperial Father's last bit of spiritual sense won't be able to withstand the impact and dissipate when we pass through the planes. If that happens, Imperial Father will be completely obliterated. Then what should we do? Qin Yin was flustered. Lin Muyu thought for a moment and said, as righteous gods, we still have to use our power when it's necessary. Let Imperial Father stay here first. There are others who can do what we can't do. I'll ask the Ghost Emperors of the 5 Directions to help rebuild Imperial Father's body in the Ghost Realm. We'll make him a true citizen of the Ghost Realm. Even if he's just a ghost servant, at least he'll be able to live in the Ghost Realm for a long time. This way, Xiao Yin, if you want to see Imperial Father, you can come to the Ghost Realm and you'll naturally be able to see him. Really? Qin Yin widened her big bright eyes. Really? When have I ever lied to you? Let me tell you, the Ghost Emperors of the 5 Directions are very powerful. At least in the Ghost Realm, there's nothing they can't do. Wow, that's great. Qin Yin was wild with joy. Seeing how happy Qin Yin was, Lin Muyu was naturally happy as well. She respectfully said to Qin Jin, Imperial Father, your power is too weak. I'm afraid you won't be able to leave the ghost realm. Then we can only think of a way to keep you in the ghost realm. But you won't be bullied by anyone. Don't worry, Xiaoyin and I are very powerful. We're powerful enough to dominate the 6 realms. Qin Jin smiled faintly and said, I believe you. It'll be fine. As long as I don't sink into a deep slumber, it'll be fine. Imperial Father doesn't have any other desires. I'm already satisfied to be able to see you and Xiaoyin again. Lin Muyu nodded and said, then please stay here, Imperial Father. Xiaoyin and I have to go to the lower planes to settle some matters. Then we'll come back to find Imperial Father. All right. Lin Muyu took Qin Yin's hand and left with her. Behind them, Qin Jin's body disappeared and he returned to his incorporeal soul state. At the same time, Lin Muyu sensed a wisp of divine sense probing this place. She couldn't help but smile and said, Ghost Emperor of the 5 Directions, is that you? A voice came from the void and said, Ah, it's me. I pay my respects to your Highness Martial God. No need to be so polite. Lin Muyu said, you heard what I said to Imperial Father just now, right? Can you do it? Yes, perhaps I can even make him a judge. Don't worry, your Highness Martial God. Then don't stay idle. Come to the 12 worlds of the Nether Springs immediately and take Imperial Father's soul away to reconstruct his body. You want me to barge into that old brat Dong Lin's Nether Springs? Dong Lin has become much stronger recently. He's very arrogant. I don't want to get into trouble. What are you afraid of? Xiaoyin and I will settle the score with him. You can just come to the Nether Springs to receive Imperial Father's soul. Yes, I understand. Chapter 1255. At the bottom of the Netherworld Spring in the Nirvana world. The vast land was empty with only a huge spring flowing. This spring was the end of the world. Falling into the spring meant death, eternal death. In other words, this was the real Netherworld Spring. In the fog, they were getting closer to the Netherworld Spring. At the same time, the irritating aura was getting stronger. Qin Yin frowned uneasily and said, the aura of the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor seems to be everywhere. What is going on? What is happening in the Netherworld Spring? I don't know either. Lin Muyu raised his palm and released a raging flame to blow away the fog. Suddenly the land gradually appeared. It was a swamp with weeds and muddy water everywhere. His heart skipped a beat and he said, be careful, they are coming. Them. In terms of strength, the graceful goddess Qin Yin was slightly inferior. After all, Lin Muyu was a titled martial god, and she was extremely sensitive to the danger of an impending battle. Sure enough, 2 gusts of air rushed over. It was the dimensional wind, a dimensional wind that was as sharp as a blade. Lin Muyu suddenly leaned back and dodged the blade, while Qin Yin also dodged to the side. A low roar came from the fog in the distance like a wild beast. What the hell is that? Lin Muyu felt the strength of the dimensional wind. It was not inferior to the dimensional wind that wind god Feng Jixing had unleashed. It was swift and fierce. He raised his palm and chanted the formless elephant spell. He yelled, come out. Boom. The aura from Tian'er crushed the fog. Instantly, 2 huge figures hidden in the fog flew out. They were monsters that were neither human nor ghost. Their bodies were covered in scales, and their eyes were like copper bells. Their feet and hands had sharp claws and their eyes were glowing. They stood on all 4s and roared at Lin Muyu and Qin Yin. What are they? Qin Yin was confused. They look like humans and ghosts at the same time, but their strength is not inferior to the righteous gods. Lin Muyu said with a stern gaze, I can feel more than one soul aura in these 2 monsters. They are not just one person but a fusion. Qin Yin was stunned. At this moment, a shrill, strange laughter came from the clouds. Ah, a long time no see. Lin Muyu, you are still so perceptive. You did not disappoint me. You are truly worthy of fighting. The figure slowly walked out of the clouds. It was the legendary East Unicorn Ghost Emperor. However, compared to before, the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor had lost some of the domineering aura of a monarch. Instead, he had more hostility. His face even had the color of decay. Logically speaking, the Ghost Emperor was eternal, so he shouldn't be decaying. Lin Muyu looked at him and said sternly, East Unicorn, what's going on with these 2 monsters? And what's going on with you? The East Sea official said that you have been in seclusion for many years. Are you cultivating some kind of evil technique? Evil technique? East Unicorn Ghost Emperor couldn't help but laugh. This is the Ghost Realm, martial god? Which martial art in the Ghost Realm is not evil technique? They are all unique techniques that refine souls and take lives. Don't tell me that the Ghost Emperors of 5 Directions and the blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor are cultivating righteous martial arts. Besides, these two are not monsters, they are devourers that this old man has painstakingly cultivated. Devourers? What do you mean? You should understand that there is not only one soul in the body of a devourer, but there are thousands of them. Those ruthless and tyrannical souls have been wandering in the Netherworld Spring for many years. Wouldn't it be a pity not to make use of them? You are refining souls in the Netherworld Spring? Lin Muyu was stunned. That's right, just like that. The corner of East Unicorn Ghost Emperor's mouth raised, revealing a trace of a sinister smile. But all this is thanks to you and the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor. If it wasn't for you guys making me suffer such a crushing defeat back then, why would I have made up my mind to cultivate the Spirit Refinement Cannon in the depths of the Netherworld Spring? Spirit Refinement Cannon? Look at these 2 devourers, they are neither human nor ghost. What you cultivated is not a god but a demon, right? Is that so? East Unicorn Ghost Emperor tilted his head to look at his 2 creations and laughed. Their appearance is bad, but their hearts are still relatively pure. They have refined the souls of countless good and evil people. They are already very complicated, it is up to me as their father to guide them. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows. You have caused chaos in the depths of the Netherworld Spring. The disturbance of the laws and order has even attracted the attention of the graceful goddess. I think you probably created these devourers to defeat me, right? What are you waiting for? Now that I am here, use your devourers or even yourself and fight me. What a martial god. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor waved his hand lightly, and instantly a blood-colored blade appeared in his hand. He laughed. If you want to challenge me, then defeat my sons first. These devourers are not as easy to deal with as the demon realm's Mara and demon generals. You have to be careful, I do not want to bear the infamy of killing a martial god. Also, graceful goddess, please stay far away, don't be affected by the battle, I do not want to hurt you. Qinin frowned. Could it be that you really want to hurt Big Brother you that much? Not to hurt but, to avenge. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor chuckled. As long as I can defeat Lin Muyu, I will be the strongest god in the world. It doesn't matter if it is a ghost god, demon god, or a righteous god, the people of the 6 realms will look at me in a new light. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh and floated down, standing in the air less than 20 centimeters from the ground. She said, Xiaoyin, back off a little, don't get affected. Qinin was naturally very confident in Lin Muyu's strength. She stepped into the air and leaped nearly 100 meters away, looking at the domain that was about to become a battlefield. What, you're not going to draw your sword? If I remember correctly, your sword is the best of the famous swords, the Shenyuan sword. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor smiled faintly. Lin Muyu glanced at the 2 restless devourers and smiled. These 2 ugly fellows are not worthy of me using my sword. Besides, it doesn't mean that I'm not powerful even if I don't use my sword. In that case, then I will offend you. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor growled. You 2 rascals, defeat him for me as long as you spare his life, the rest is up to you. Fortunately, this East Unicorn Ghost Emperor still had a trace of humanity, and only wanted to avenge the humiliation, but did not want to harm Lin Muyu's life. After all, the Ghost Realm also belonged to the 6 realms, and killing a martial god would not benefit the Ghost Realm at all. Roar roar, the 2 devourers launched an attack almost at the same time. Their figures flashed and disappeared into the dimension. Their speed was very fast and they appeared on both sides of Lin Muyu like lightning. 2 sharp claws with dimensional impact swept over at an extremely fast speed. Lin Muyu was slightly startled by the speed of the devourer. This speed was probably not inferior to Ria's peak speed, right? Fortunately, Lin Muyu had the sacred martial power and the invisible elephant technique. Such a rapid speed was several times slower in his eyes, at least not to the point where he could not deal with it. A light flashed on his fingertips and the proud sword technique was launched. Dang dang, like the sound of metal and stone colliding, the sword chi on Lin Muyu's fingertips blasted on the devourer's sharp claws, but could not directly cut them off, just like weapons colliding with each other. The devourer's physique was really tyrannical, and even this degree of endurance should have reached the level of the 9 underworld's demon king. In an instant, Lin Muyu had to look at Ghost Emperor Dong Lin in a new light. This old guy actually used that whatever spirit refinement cannon to refine such a monster. It was really not simple. In the blink of an eye, the 2 devourers attacked Lin Muyu over a dozen times at lightning speed. Although they did not deal any damage to her, it was enough to put her in a perilous situation. Lin Muyu's cloak was torn, and if it were not for the protection of her Saint Martial force, she would have been heavily injured. Dang! It was another fierce attack. The sword chi on Lin Muyu's fingertips bounced off the Devourer's sharp claws for the 8th time, but there was a trace of doubt in her heart. These two Devourers seemed to never know fatigue. After continuously running and attacking, their speed and strength were getting higher and higher, and they did not even have a trace of fatigue. Such an opponent was really a bit terrifying. In the distance, Ghost Emperor Dong Lin laughed out loud. Lin Muyu, don't try to use stalling tactics to exhaust the Devourers. It's useless. They will become braver and stronger as they fight. Just use whatever skills you have. I believe that as a martial god, you are more than capable of this. All right then, Lin Muyu smiled faintly. Her arms were filled with blood-colored lightning, and she suddenly raised the sacred martial power from 40% to 80%. She clenched her left hand into a fist, and the mental cultivation method of the AO sword technique filled the surroundings. She punched the sharp claws of one of the Devourers as if she had foresight. Bang! The air suddenly exploded, and there was a deafening sound. The Devourer was like a cannonball that was punched into the fog by Lin Muyu. There was a rumbling sound in the distance, and it must have smashed the swamp far away into a mess. This time, it was Ghost Emperor Dong Lin's turn to be shocked. He knew that the martial god was strong, but he did not know that the martial god was strong to this extent. What kind of monstrous strength was this to send a Devourer flying with a punch? Roar! Another Devourer rushed over in the air, and it was as swift and violent as an arrow that left the bow. Lin Muyu's body turned slightly, and her right fist was filled with the sacred martial power. She suddenly punched the other Devourer, and there were even 2 Devourer fangs left in the air. After spinning in the air for a few rounds, they slowly fell into the mud. There was a series of explosions in the distance, and it was the sound of the Devourers sliding on the ground. The earth shook and the mountains shook. Clenching her fist, Lin Muyu said, "To be honest, I am a little disappointed. Is this all your Devourers can do?" The East Unicorn Ghost Emperor's face was ashen as he said indifferently, "Don't be in a hurry to be complacent. It is just 2 Devourers. If the number is 4 times more with 8 Devourers attacking together, can you still be so calm?" Lin Muyu smiled, "Come on." In the fog there was a roar and black figures appeared in the air. Ghost Emperor Dong Lin was not lying. There were indeed 8 Devourers, including the 2 that were sent flying by Lin Muyu's punch. They were only injured but not dead. No, they were not even injured. Their endurance was really scary. Chapter 1256. Roar, roar, roar. The Devourers looked at Lin Muyu with ferocious expressions as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Even a small amount of hair on their bodies stood up. Their limbs were surrounded by beams of spiritual light, as if there were ghosts lingering around them. That was also the source of their power. Just like the name of the Devourer, their power came from devouring those souls, obtaining part of the power of the owner of the soul, and then fusing with it. Defeat him. Use everything you have. Just leave him alive. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor ordered again. Roar! The Devourers rushed forward madly, their sharp claws carrying dimensional blades slashing straight at Lin Muyu, and this time they attacked from multiple directions without any blind spots. There was even a Devourer that drilled into the swamp and attacked from below. For a moment, there was no other way but to break the void. However, the Nirvana world was different from the outside world. The law of space here was self-contained. No upright god could break the void here, not even Einherjar. Lin Muyu did not hesitate to put her palms together. In the face of such a fierce attack, she directly sacrificed 70% of the AO sword tactics. Suddenly, countless sword chi broke through the air, lingering around her and gathering into a sword domain sphere with a radius of about 2 meters. One by one, the Devourers madly hit the sphere, and then were blasted away by the burning sword chi. They did not fly far before they attacked again and so on. For a moment, the world was full of splashing flames and flying sword intent. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor was stunned. He originally thought that no god in the world could resist the fierce attack of the 8 Devourers, but the scene in front of him disappointed him. The 8 Devourers were actually blocked by Lin Muyu, and blood was constantly splashing in the air. The Devourers were injured one after another. Lin Muyu's proud sword tactics was not a child's play, it was a unique skill used to kill. Originally, East Unicorn Ghost Emperor wanted to use the Devourers to defeat the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor and make this peerless mad god kneel at his feet and beg for mercy. Now it seemed that it was hopeless. The 8 devourers could not even pass Lin Muyu. However, Ghost Emperor Dong Lin did not know Lin Muyu's pain in the Ball of Sword realm. He had almost exerted 90% of the AO sword tactics, but he still could not completely defeat these devourers. Just as Dong Lin said, the devourers became braver and stronger as they fought. The continuous fierce attacks had almost exhausted Lin Muyu's holy martial power. Just like that, the battle lasted for nearly half an hour. Even Qin Yin, who was in the air, had already pulled out the Donghua sword and was ready to help at any time. At this time there was a rumbling sound, and an enormous beam of sword light blasted out from the sword domain sphere, blasting a devourer into the mist. Lin Muyu had unsheathed the Xinyuan sword at some point, and she could only rely on the Xinyuan sword's edge to end the battle. Pooh! In the sweep of the sharp blade, a devourer's shoulder was injured and a long wound was cut open. Accompanied by a wail, he fell into the mud and rolled far away. The rest of the devourers stopped attacking and stood dozens of meters away from Lin Muyu, constantly roaring, as if they were very dissatisfied. Lin Muyu looked up at Dong Lin and said, "Why are you still so indifferent? Do you want to see your sons being killed by me one by one with your own eyes?" You. Ghost Emperor Dong Lin gritted his teeth. However, he believed that Lin Muyu had the ability to do so. If the injury was so serious that it was life-threatening, the devourers would indeed die, and Lin Muyu should be able to do so. Only Lin Muyu herself knew that the 2 swords just now had consumed nearly 30% of her strength. If she killed all 8 devourers, her strength would inevitably be completely exhausted, and perhaps she could not kill all of them. At that time she was afraid that she would be the one to die. At this moment Lin Muyu was full of dissatisfaction. She was a dignified martial god, a martial god who had completely mastered the AO sword tactics, but she could not defeat 8 devourers, 8 created idiots. As expected of the martial god, Ghost Emperor Dong Lin retracted his saber and began to applaud for Lin Muyu without any sincerity. Lin Muyu said angrily, "Why do you admit defeat?" "Admit defeat? I will not admit defeat." Ghost Emperor Dong Lin said, "It's just that I don't want a martial god like you to die in the Nether Spring world. Otherwise it would be inexcusable. The gods of the 6 realms would think that I, Dong Lin, am an ignorant ghost god. Wouldn't that make our great ghost realm be covered in dust because of me?" A cooked duck was reluctant to admit defeat. Lin Muyu laughed secretly and took the opportunity to say, "In that case, let's consider it a draw." "Oh?" Dong Lin was secretly ecstatic and said, "Now can you tell me, why did the martial god and grace goddess come to the ghost realm?" "Because of you." Qin Yin floated down. "Because of me?" Ghost Emperor Dong Lin was stunned. "Why?" Qin Yin blinked her eyes and smiled faintly with her dimples. "When I was in the divine world, I sensed that the order in the depths of the ghost realm was in great turmoil and disorder. The only reason for that was the burst of power. Now it seems that it's because of these devourers. The devourers you created are even stronger than you are. That's why the order is in chaos. So it's because of these cute little fellows?" Ghost Emperor Dong Lin looked at his sons lovingly. Lin Muyu coughed and said, "Dong Lin, these fellows are far from the word cute, right? Don't tell me you didn't have the ability to change their appearance when you created them?" "Yes, but won't it look very fierce and lethal if it's made like this?" Lin Muyu was stunned and didn't know what to say. "Since the truth is out, martial god and grace goddess, please leave. I won't keep you for dinner. After all, the food in the Nether Spring world might not be good enough for you." Ghost Emperor Dong Lin started to ask them to leave. But Lin Muyu didn't want to leave and said, "Are you kidding me? Do you think we'll leave just because the 2 righteous gods of the divine realm came?" Ghost Emperor Dong Lin's heart skipped a beat and felt a little uneasy. If Lin Muyu, this martial god, really attacked, none of his 8 sons would be able to escape. They weren't a match for Lin Muyu at all. Lin Muyu seemed to see through Dong Lin's thoughts and said, "Now that the divine realm is in a fierce war with the demon realm, the power of the demon realm is still growing. Your ghost realm is also a member of the 6 realms, shouldn't you send people to fight for the 6 realms?" Dong Lin thought for a moment and said, "I can send 1,000,000 ghost soldiers and 1,000 ghost dragon leaders to help the divine realm, but they are ghostly immortals and can't compete with sunlight, so they can only fight at night. I don't want those ghostly immortals, I want these." Lin Muyu pointed at the 8 devourers and said, "They are so strong, it would be a pity if they don't fight for the divine realm." "What?" Dong Lin was startled. "You want the devourers?" "Yes." Lin Muyu nodded. "I need 8 personal guards and these devourers are the best candidates. However, the prerequisite is that you have to change their appearances and make them look normal. Otherwise, I won't be able to bring them out. Changing their appearance is easy. Wait, I didn't say I would agree to it. You will agree. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. I have a bargaining chip that I can trade with you. Give me 8 devourers as bodyguards and I can give you a shocking gift. What shocking gift? Ghost Emperor Dong Lin said indifferently. When I go out, I will tell everyone I meet that I was defeated by you, Dong Lin, in the Nether Spring realm. How about it? Is this bargaining chip sincere enough? Lin Muyu smiled very brightly. She knew Dong Lin's personality all too well. Ghost Emperor Dong Lin looked calm on the surface, but in his heart, it was as if a million purgatory soldiers were running wildly. That feeling of dust flying, that feeling of covering the sky, was simply too tempting. If he defeated Lin Muyu, then he would be the strongest ghostly immortal in the 6 realms, enough to stand proudly in the ghost realm. Wouldn't Ghost Emperors Wufang and Weeping Blood have to call him brother? Thinking of this, Ghost Emperor Dong Lin said with an embarrassed expression, You know, I, Dong Lin, have never been a greedy person. The devourers I refined are the strongest in the world, even you are not a match for them. You lost to the devourers is the same as you lost to me, Dong Lin, so, what you said can only be considered as the truth, not an exaggeration. I know. Lin Muyu said with a sincere expression. I don't have too much time, so please refine the appearance of these devourers immediately, make them look like normal people, don't need to be too handsome but not too ugly. This will take some time. It's fine, Xiaoyin, and I will wait here for you to finish. Wait a moment. Ghost Emperor Dong Lin raised his head and took a glance at Lin Muyu. If I give you the devourers that I have refined for so many years, wouldn't I be making a loss? No, you won't make a loss. Lin Muyu said proudly, after you change their appearance I will rename them, I will change their name to Protectors. The 8 Protectors will be my personal guards. Once the Protectors make contributions in the battle against the Devil Realm, it will all be recorded in your account, Ghost Emperor Dong Lin. After the battle, I will personally lead the gods into the Ghost Realm to thank you. How about it, is this okay? Dong Lin was calculating in his heart, but the hateful thing was that Lin Muyu had predicted his every move. Every word of his was like honey. It was extremely enjoyable for Ghost Emperor Dong Lin. At this moment, let alone the 8 devourers, he would even give his 8 beloved concubines to Lin Muyu without hesitation. Seeing the sincerity of Martial God Palace, I will do this. Ghost Emperor Dong Lin stood in the sky, raised his palm, and a mysterious power flew out, starting to change the appearance of the devourers. But no matter how much he changed, he couldn't find the model. He could only look at Lin Muyu and change it with a glance. As a result, in the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the appearance of the devourers actually became the same as Lin Muyu. The only difference was that the devourers were bigger and more muscular. Lin Muyu standing at the side looked like a miniature version of the devourers. F***ck. Lin Muyu imagined the appearance of 8 protectors standing behind her. She couldn't help but squint her eyes at Qinyin. Xiaoyin, why do I feel that my limelight is going to be stolen? Qinyin burst into laughter. Darling, don't panic, in my heart you are still the best. You really know how to comfort people. Lin Muyu quickly made up her mind. After returning to the Divine Realm, she would customize a set of battle armor for these protectors, different from her own. The radiance had to be dim, rougher, otherwise her limelight as a martial god would really be stolen. Chapter 1257. At Mount Dongming, huge rocks were being piled up to form a new fortress and stone cannons. This place was being transformed into a habitable territory so that it could serve as the front line of the Eastern God Realm. What the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor needed to do was to use his own power to reactivate the spiritual mountain core of Mount Dongming and fill it with spiritual energy once more. Whoosh! A beam of light fell beside him and condensed into the image of Ziyao. How is it, Ziyao? The Demon Emperor asked. Ziyao looked very tired as she said, It's not good. Metal has been destroyed. I saw the scene of the battle a few hours ago and saw Heavenly Emperor Fuxi exhaust his life force and die. 2 of his 4 disciples died in battle and the other 2 were seriously injured. Fan Yang's body was severely damaged and his whereabouts are unknown. Miue can't be found either. How could this be? Even the gods of the realm beyond heaven are unable to resist Ziyan's power? Yes. Ziyao nodded and said, Demon Emperor, I also captured a remnant of the scene. You must be careful. Ziyan used the remains of the Nether Servant and the chaotic aura of metal to create 4 extremely powerful monsters and named them the 4 heavenly kings of the demon realm. Each of these 4 heavenly kings is no weaker than the demon monarch of the 9 underworlds. Now that you and Xiaoyin aren't here, No matter which god realm Ziyan plans to attack, it will be destroyed. Why don't we return to Mount Deshang immediately? The 7 luminaries demon emperor looked at the spiritual mountain core in the distance and said, there's only half a day left before this spiritual mountain recovers. Are we going to give up on our previous efforts? Fine, then let's continue to stay here. Ziyao. Immediately send Chu Chu and 500 soldiers of the heaven-punishing army into the galaxy to search for Fan Yang and Miyue's whereabouts. Fuxi is dead, we can't let his disciples be helpless. Both Fan Yang and Miyue are seriously injured. If they are still alive, they will definitely need our help. Quickly make the arrangements and use your northern heavenly wheel to find them as soon as possible. They are fellow disciples of you. I know. Don't worry, I'll do it right away. Alright, go ahead. Ziyao turned around and flew away. The 7 luminaries demon emperor let out a sigh. Ever since he came to the heaven realm, everything had been smooth sailing. He never thought that he would fall into such a difficult situation. However, thinking about it carefully, the most difficult time had passed. This was just a small counterattack by the demon realm. It would be fine as long as he endured it. At this moment, a ray of light shot into the sky from the northern heaven realm. Finally, the king of gods, Dongming, had ascended. The second-tier superior god, titled the Winter God, was in charge of the heavenly way of frost. The 7 luminaries demon emperor could naturally sense the spiritual power turbulence in the northern heaven realm. Looking at the faintly discernible heavenly sound scroll in the air, he couldn't help but laugh. Dongming, you old brat, you've finally comprehended. Your melon seeds are really a lump of wood. You actually ascended after Feng Jixing and Wei Chou, Winter God. Interesting, your comprehension isn't suitable to be the king of gods. Why don't you come to our eastern divine realm and become a god in charge of ice? How good would it be to make iced bayberries in the summer? From somewhere Dongming's words came, Demon Emperor, you're really too much. You didn't even say a word of congratulations after I ascended. You only know how to be sarcastic. Do I have a friend like you? Old brat, when you sent Yang Shang to lead the god race's army into the Shattered Cauldron realm, it was obvious that you wanted to destroy our Eastern Divine Realm's power in the Shattered Cauldron realm. How dare you call yourself a friend like this? Even if I don't say it, you should be well aware of it. Look at me, when the Northern Divine Realm was attacked, I immediately went to reinforce them. Dongming was a little embarrassed. Let's not talk about the past anymore. How are things on your side? Everything is fine, but Ziyan created 4 very strong demon gods called the 4 Great Heavenly Kings. You have to be careful. If the 4 Great Heavenly Kings attack the Northern Divine Realm, inform me immediately. And take care of yourselves. Alright. At the same time, in the Western Divine Realm, there were close to 200 angels standing in the square in front of the Light Temple. These angel armies were strengthened by the Light Origin Stones brought by Lin Muyu. Among the 4 Divine Realms, the Western Divine Realm was the strongest. These angels were old gods selected from the major Western Divine Realm families. Even the weakest of them was at least at the 80th level of Paradise, which was equivalent to the divine power of a Tier 3 higher god, except that they didn't have any special divine power. Jin has fallen. Eva appeared beside Shi Yan and said softly, "Fallen?" Shi Yan was a little stunned. Yes, Fuxi died in battle. His 4 disciples were either killed or escaped. Their whereabouts are unknown. The only force that the sky beyond heaven sent to the 6 realms no longer exists. How can this be? Shi Yan frowned and said, "Is there any news about Xin and you?" They have been sending back news since they entered the ghost realm. But with Yu's cultivation he will definitely be fine. Don't worry. Besides, Ziyan has obtained 4 very strong subordinates. Maybe they will launch their next attack soon. Shi Yan narrowed her eyes and said, "They are the closest to the Eastern Divine Realm. If they want to attack, they will definitely choose the Eastern Divine Realm first. We should be prepared." Once the Eastern Divine Realm is attacked, we must immediately fly to the Middle God Realm to reinforce them. If the Eastern Divine Realm is gone, we will be in danger. Yes. Li Fei smiled and said, "Lady Shi Yan, do you think the strength of the Western Divine Realm is enough to fight the Demon Realm?" Not enough. Shi Yan's eyes were filled with coldness and said, "But if Ziyan's god-destroying pagoda runs out of energy, we can fight. Anyway, we just need to be prepared." Yes, I understand. Leave it to me. Okay. Li Fei walked forward and the 4 wings behind her shook slightly. She said to the angel army in the plaza, "Go back to your rooms and rest. Once the Light Saint Hall lights up, immediately return here and wait for Lady Shi Yan's orders." Yes. The angels flew away and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Nether Spring was very busy. After Dong Lin finished modifying the appearances of the 8 devourers, he was so tired that he almost stuck out his tongue. It seemed like he had never done so much physical work in one go before. However, Lin Muyu stood there like an inhuman supervisor, allowing Dong Lin to continue working. After all, Dong Lin's reputation depended on Lin Muyu's reputation. In the blink of an eye, half a day passed. Finally, the 8 devourers' appearances were similar to Lin Muyu's. The only difference was that each of them was 3 to 4 times the size of Lin Muyu. Once they entered battle mode, they would not clench their fists. Instead, their weapons were sharp claws and scales would appear on their bodies. However, none of that was important. The devourers could fight and could take a beating. That was what Lin Muyu valued the most. At the very least, if the 8 devourers went out, they would be able to fight for 3 days and 3 nights. Killing millions of demonic creatures would not be a problem. Even saint rulers of the demon world would probably be slain by the devourers within 5 rounds. Seeing the 8 devourers standing in a row, Lin Muyu could not help but smile. "Are you ready?" "Yes." Ghost Emperor Dong Lin said while wiping his sweat. "Alright, I'm going to pick up the goods." Lin Muyu walked to the front of the group of devourers and said, "From today onwards I am your master. Remember, from today onwards you are no longer devourers. Use your new name, Protectors. You are the protectors of the heaven realm, my personal guards. You must be loyal to me. Furthermore, after leaving the Nether Spring world, you are not allowed to kill the innocent, nor are you allowed to devour the souls of others." "Yes, master." The group of protectors nodded in unison. Lin Muyu nodded with a satisfied smile and said, "Alright, we can leave now. Dong Lin, come with us. Let's go to the 5 ghost monarchs first. I'll explain everything to them." Ghost Emperor Dong Lin thought for a few seconds and nodded, "Alright, let's go." Suddenly, a few figures flew out of the spring. They were the ghost monarch of Dong Lin, Lin Muyu, Qinin, and the others. As soon as they saw Dong Lin, the ghost soldiers knelt down. The East Sea Prefect was even more excited. "Your Majesty, ghost monarch of Dong Lin, you've finally come out of seclusion? That's great. That's great. Who are they?" He saw the protectors who looked like Lin Muyu. Ghost Emperor Dong Lin said, "These are the most elite warriors of our ghost realm. Don't ask so many questions. Prepare the guard of honor and follow me, martial god and grace goddess, to the well of reincarnation of the 5 ghost emperors." Yes. There were no drums or gongs in the ghost realm, so they couldn't beat them. However, the ghost soldiers still let out loud shouts to cheer for the ghost emperors. Lin Muyu and Qinin were secretly amused. The ghost immortals of the ghost realm cared more about their reputation than the gods of the Yang realm. Unbelievable. Qinin was so anxious that she almost flew at the front of the group. "Xiaoyin, don't worry," Lin Muyu was amused and said, "Father's body must have been reconstructed. We all know what the 5 ghost emperors are capable of. This is just a piece of cake for him. Don't worry." Qinin slowed down and held Lin Muyu's hand. She smiled intimately and said, "I feel so happy. I haven't been so happy for more than 10 years. Lin Muyu was speechless. "I can imagine that you will come back to the ghost realm to visit father in the future. I will also spend more time with you." Qinin was still quite sensible. Not long after, the army outside the well of reincarnation appeared in their field of vision. However, they were all kneeling on one knee to welcome the gods in the distance. After all, the martial god and the grace goddess were both righteous gods of the upper realm. Their status was actually far above the 3 ghost emperors. Especially the martial god, who was known as the supreme ruler among the righteous gods. At the entrance of the well of reincarnation, the 5 ghost emperors personally came out to welcome them. He cupped his hands and said, "Subordinate Wu Fang pays his respects to the martial god and the grace goddess." "Dong Lin, you finally came out of seclusion?" Ghost Emperor Dong Lin said angrily, "Wu Fang, long time no see. Please come in." Qin asked anxiously, "Your Majesty Wu Fang, where is my father?" "Lord Qinjin is in the inner palace. His body has just been reconstructed. Please go in and see him." "Huh?" Chapter 1258. In the inner palace, a group of ghost soldiers stood solemnly, and an old man wearing a loose robe stood up from the side of the chair. It was Qinjin who had reconstructed his body. When he saw Qinin enter, he immediately burst into tears. "Xiaoyin." Qinin threw herself into her father's arms and the scene was delightful. Lin Muyu also walked forward and knelt on one knee. She performed an empire's military salute to Qinjin and said, Lin Muyu pays her respects to Imperial Father. You quickly get up. Qin Jin hurriedly helped Lin Muyu up and said, I'm just an old man right now, but you're a martial god. There's no need for you to salute me. In the future don't ever. Lin Muyu smiled and said, back then you adopted me as your son. No matter what your motive was, it was because you knew me well. Moreover, Xiaoyin is now my wife, so there's nothing wrong with me calling you Imperial Father. And that's good, that's good. Qin Jin was overjoyed and tears rolled down his face. He said, I never thought that a lonely and wild ghost like me would actually have such a day. This is great, this is great. Qin Yin held her Imperial Father's hand and said, I also never thought that I would be able to see Imperial Father again. Qin Jin looked at Qin Yin and then looked at Lin Muyu. He asked, You? When did you get married? Do you have children? Immediately Qin Yin's face turned red and she said, We haven't officially married yet, so naturally we don't have children. Imperial Father, why are you asking this the moment you come? Looking at his bashful daughter, Qin Jin couldn't help but burst into laughter. He said, Men and women should get married when they're of age. This is a matter of common sense. If I don't care about this, what else can I care about? Cough cough. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor coughed dryly. Lin Muyu understood tacitly and said in front of the 5 Ghost Emperors and the group of Abyssal Prefects, After Xiaoyin and I entered the Nether Spring Realm, we challenged Ghost Emperor Dong Lin. After fighting for more than 300 rounds with His Majesty Dong Lin, I was exhausted and I was defeated by His Majesty Dong Lin. However, His Majesty Dong Lin was magnanimous and gave me 8 of his subordinates so that I could bring them back to the Heaven Realm to serve the Eastern God Realm. I have to thank Dong Lin for this. Ghost Emperor Dong Lin smiled. Your Highness Martial God is too courteous. It's what I should do. The Ghost Emperors of the 5 directions stared at Dong Lin in disbelief and said, How did you manage to defeat a martial god? I don't believe it. I won't believe it even if you beat me to death. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. The war god has already said so. Humph humph. Lin Muyu grabbed Ghost Emperor Wu's arm and said, Wu Fang, I still have something that I need your help with. Can you help me investigate the reincarnation records of the dead? The Ghost Emperors of the 5 directions were taken aback. Then he smiled and said, Martial God, you can't be thinking of bringing the dead back to life and disturbing the laws of life and death, right? Yes, I do want to do that. Can I? Forget it. You are the martial god, you are the boss, you have the final say. If you want to investigate, follow me to the records officer in the back hall. You can't find anything here. Okay. Lin Muyu wasn't the only one who followed the Ghost Emperors into the back hall. Qin Yin, Qin Jin, Lin Muyu's 8 personal guards, Dong Lin and the others also followed them into the back hall. It was as if they were doing a joint investigation. The building in the back hall was very strange. It was like a crescent moon with black tables connected to each other. There were at least 20 judges working here. When they saw the Ghost Emperors of the 5 directions, they were taken aback. Then they bowed and said, Greetings, Your Majesty. The Ghost Emperors of the 5 directions raised his hand and gestured for them to continue. Then he said to Lin Muyu, This is the place that controls life and death. You can look at the past life and control the present life. Martial God, please ask whatever you want to ask. Do you want to resurrect someone or control someone's life and death? Lin Muyu took a step forward solemnly and placed her hand on the center of the crescent moon. She said coldly, Help me find out, where is the soul of Duke Zhangnan Su Jiantao who was born in the Shattered Cauldron Realm? A judge raised his hand. Immediately, the book of life and death under his palm glowed with golden light and flipped. The whites of his eyes began to expand. A few seconds later he said respectfully, Martial God, Su Jiantao's soul has been reincarnated 8 months ago. His soul was recognized as a hero after entering the ghost realm, so he was given special care and reincarnated into a good family. Where is he reincarnated? In a plain in the south. He is the only son of a wealthy family. He is very much loved. Oh. Lin Muyu murmured, Since he is the only son of a wealthy family, then we will take care of him so that the wealthy family cannot have other children. Let's leave it at that. But the judge was startled and said, The matter of having children is controlled by the descendant gods. It is not something we can control. The Ghost Emperors of the 5 directions coughed and said, Judge Yuan, since the martial god has said so, then we should do as he says. Can't we just send someone to the descendant division to inform him? If you don't know how to do things. Yes, Your Majesty is right, Lin Muyu grinned. The society was too dark. Martial god, who else do you want to ask about? The ghost emperors of the 5 directions asked. About the reincarnation of Lei Hong, Qin Lei, and Chu Huaying from the Shattered Cauldron realm. Yes. The judges inquired together. After a while they all raised their heads and said, reporting to the martial god, Lei Hong was conferred as the ghost general of the ghost realm of the western region 12 years ago. Qin Lei was reincarnated 13 years ago. He was reincarnated as the son of an ancient spiritual deer. Chu Huaying stayed in the ghost realm for a year. He was unwilling to enter the reincarnation cycle, but he entered the well of reincarnation in the end. However, according to his request, we let him reincarnate to the Shattered Cauldron realm. He should be 13 years old now. Ah? Lin Muyu's body trembled slightly. Chu Huaying, is he in the Shattered Cauldron realm? Yes, and he reincarnated in Lanyan City. He was born in a family with the surname Chu, and his name was Chu Yun. However, he has gone through reincarnation and has lost all his memories of his previous life. He is a completely different person. Lord Martial God, if your mortal ties are severed, then so be it. There is no need to force it. You have already done your best to ask him everything here. How can friendship be compared with benevolence? Lin Muyu sighed. I asked him because I can't forget him and because I have always treated him as a family member. Since you can ask about the reincarnation cycle, then, can I see what Chu Huaying is doing now and what kind of person he is? The underworld judge was stunned and didn't know how to answer. He could only raise his head and look at the 5 ghost emperors for help. Use the spirit illusion mirror. The 5 ghost emperors sighed. Since the martial god insists on knowing, then let him know. The martial god controls the martial path of heaven and earth. He has the right to know everything he wants to know. Yes. The judge took out a mirror that was not smooth and flat, and gently placed it on the crescent moon-shaped ground. Suddenly, a golden ray of light flew out, and in the blink of an eye, it weaved into a familiar scene. It was a huge training ground, and there were bronze statues and wooden dummies everywhere. Many youngsters were training with each other while dripping sweat. One of the youths looked to be around 12 or 13 years old. He held an iron sword in his hand and was sparring with a general with 3 golden stars. This general looked very familiar. It was actually Situ Sen. Clang. The iron sword created a spark on Situ Sen's shield. Situ Sen's body was like a mountain. He smiled and said, Chu Yun, this attack isn't good. If your sword hit the armor demons, I'm afraid they won't even move. Instead, if they counterattack, your little life will be gone. Chu Yun was stunned. Then he slid his left foot forward and pushed himself up from the ground. A wave of battle energy surged under his feet and he raised his sword for the second attack. Clang. This time, the shield in Situ Sen's hand trembled. He couldn't help but smile. Not bad, not bad. You are worth teaching. Chu Yun was very happy to receive Situ Sen's praise. He said, Commander Sen, if that's the case, can I join the Longdan army camp? No. Why? The youth was a little disappointed. Situ Sen touched his head and said, because the Longdan army camp doesn't accept soldiers under the age of 16. I would like to ask you, why do you have to join the Longdan army camp? Because the Longdan army camp is the strongest army in the empire. It is the heroic army that destroys the strong enemy. The youth's eyes were burning. He said, what's more, the Longdan army camp is now the army that guards the imperial capital. It holds the triple responsibility of the imperial guards, and the national army. Everyone in the holy sanctum regards joining the Longdan army camp as the highest honor. Is that so? Situ Sen smiled. But soon the imperial guards and the imperial guards will be reorganized. The Longdan army camp will also withdraw from Lanyan City and be stationed in Sangnan province. Do you still want to join the Longdan army camp? Yes. But why does the Longdan army camp have to leave? Because maybe the Longdan army camp is too strong. The old men in the national army can't stand having such a strong army under their noses all day long. Situ Sen took a deep breath and said, cultivate well. As long as you are strong enough, you can join any army you want. They can only wish for it. And I understand. Thank you, Commander Sen. Right at this moment, a person walked over from the Holy Sanctum's main hall. It was Qin Yen in a white robe. He was also the current Holy Sanctum's Grand Deacon. Commander Sen. Qin Yen smiled. How is it? Have you chosen the rookies? 20 people have been chosen. How is the child Chu Yun? His aptitude is very good. It's just that he's too young. He's temporarily not suitable to follow the army. Grand Deacon, please nurture him well. When Chu Yun is of age, I'll come and pick him up. Yo, listening to you, you have the aura of Big Brother back then. Ha. Sedu-sen smiled. I also don't know how long I can stay in the human realm. Maybe I'll get lucky and be chosen by the Mahayana Heavenly Tao soon. The Longdan army camp needs a successor. The older generation is already gradually drifting away and getting older. Fengshi Baiyin, these people are experienced but they lack drive. Maybe the future commander of the Longdan army camp will be this child Chu Yun. Commander Sun really thinks so highly of him? Qin Yin was a little surprised. Can't I? This child has an unyielding character and is very tenacious. Back then, His Highness, you might have been like this when he was in the holy sanctum. What do you think? Big Brother. He was the strongest sparring master back then. But now, sparring masters have been removed. We only have martial masters who are treated equally. Aha, let him be. I'm leaving. The Longdan army camp will leave in 2 days. Otherwise, those lords in the National Army will urge me again. And take care, Commander Senior. You too take care. After watching the image gradually disappear, Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said with a sigh, in the end he still has to become a soldier. That might be Big Brother Chu Huayin's fate. Qin Yin said, also Lanyan City really needs people like him to protect it. And this can be considered as settling down. Chapter 1259. Can you check for life and death? Lin Muyu asked again. Yes. The Ghost Emperor of the Five Directions nodded and smiled. Your Highness, so what if I check? Life and death are determined by the heavens. So what if I erase a name from the Book of Life and Death? I think it's better to let nature take its course. Lin Muyu said, I just hope that father and elder brother can live to a ripe old age. Your father and elder brother have extremely long lives. The martial god will naturally think of a way to prolong their lives. There's no need to worry about that. All right then. Lin Muyu turned and bowed to Qin Jin. Imperial Father, you can stay here. The Ghost Emperor of the Five Directions will take good care of you. All right, how do you plan to settle, Imperial Father? The Ghost Emperor of the Five Directions cupped his hands and smiled. Qin Jin was originally an emperor of the lower realm and is well versed in etiquette. It just so happens that the etiquette in the Ghost realm is lacking, so this subordinate plans to arrange for Qin Jin to be the Ghost King of Etiquette. As for his cultivation, this subordinate will raise his cultivation step by step. Your Highness, please rest assured and return to the God realm. Lin Muyu said again, Imperial Father, there are still many unfinished matters in the God realm, so Xiao Yin and I will immediately return to the God realm. We will visit you again when we have time. Qin Jin nodded. You Xiao Yin, take care of yourselves. Amen. Qin Yin bid farewell to her father reluctantly. Lin Muyu and the 8 guardians waited for her outside the Well of Reincarnation. When Qin Yin came out, the 10 of them quickly left the Ghost realm and returned to the God realm. The Valley of Fallen Gods was the resting place of the Demon Realm's army. The sky above the valley was filled with the Winged Mara's army, while Ziyin, Bai Feng, and the other Demon Realm leaders rested in the valley. A huge green rock was sitting on the grass and Ziyin was sitting on it. Behind him stood the 4 heavenly kings. The god-destroying pagoda in his hand reflected a beam of light that pointed to the horizon. It swept around as though he was searching for something. At the side, Holy King Bai Feng asked in confusion, Your Majesty Ancestral Emperor, are mere Fan Yang and Miwe really worth your effort? No, we must find them and kill them. Ziyin smiled faintly, Fushi's disciples must all die. Otherwise, my anger will not be appeased. Besides, if I kill Fushi but not his disciples, wouldn't I be leaving behind a disaster for myself? Bai Feng. At this moment, the god's exterminating tower suddenly buzzed, and a figure was reflected into the tower. It was the figure of an injured person, floating in the starry universe. Who else could it be but Fan Yang? Fan Yang, you really didn't die. Ziyin laughed heartily, Eastern Sky King, go kill Fan Yang and bring his head back to me. I'll send it to you right away, but you have to be quick, understand? Yes. One of the 4 heavenly kings, Eastern Sky King, bared his fangs and slowly knelt down. Ziyin gently flicked his sleeves and power surged out. Instantly, a huge spatial crack wrapped Eastern Sky King's body into a state of plane travel. At the same time, the light reflected by the god-destroying pagoda became chaotic, and a huge figure appeared beside Fan Yang. Fan Yang tried to fight back, but how could he resist? After a muffled groan, his head was forcibly cut off by Eastern Sky King. Swoosh. Eastern Sky King left quickly and returned just as quickly. He held Fan Yang's bloody head in his hand and handed it straight to Ziyan. Master, I've completed my task. Good, very good. Ziyan glanced at Fan Yang's severed head. He lightly opened his palm and incinerated it into ashes. Only Mei Yu is left. Where did that little girl hide? The God's Destroying Tower has been searching for her for an entire day, but we still can't find her. Bai Feng was silent. At this very moment, within a huge, desolate spiritual mountain located in the middle of the universe, an injured young girl was curled up in a small cave. It was Mei Yu. She endured the pain and hid her aura in a small space, but after cultivating together with her senior and junior sister for so many years, she could already hear Fan Yang's agonizing screams before he died. She could not hold back her tears. Senior brother. Senior brother. With Fan Yang's death, she was the only one left of Fushi's 4 disciples. There was also a missing junior brother, Lin Muyu. At this moment, Miue was indescribably lonely. She couldn't even feel what her hope of survival was. Perhaps her junior brother, who was fighting far away, was her only hope. As long as the sect is not destroyed, Miue held the broken sword tightly, tears rolling down her eyes. She murmured, as long as the sect is not destroyed, my Fushi sect will not be destroyed. Mount Dongming. Crack. The space crack crackled and a small-scale energy explosion occurred. Lin Muyu, Qinin, and the 8 guardians flew straight out of the crack and appeared in front of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Ziyao. You're back. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor turned around and said happily. Lin Muyu nodded, but her heart was extremely heavy. She said, Xiaoxi and Brother Feng said that the gold sect has been destroyed, right? My sect has already been destroyed, right? Calm down first. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor wasn't someone who was good at comforting people, so he could only say this sentence dryly. Lin Muyu's eyes were slightly red. I'm indebted to Master. If it wasn't for his help, I don't know how many times I would have died. Now, Master was actually brutally killed by that bastard Ziyan. Even my 4 senior brothers and sisters couldn't escape misfortune. Ziyao's voice came from behind. Your sect hasn't been completely destroyed yet. Sister Ziyao, what did you see? Lin Muyu glanced over and noticed that the North Qianluan in Ziyao's hand was glowing faintly. I saw something I didn't want to see. Ziyao frowned slightly. An hour ago, before I found Fan Yang, Ziyan found his location first. So, the heavily injured Fan Yang was killed by Ziyan's 4 heavenly kings. Now only you and Miue are left in your sect. However, Miue's location is extremely difficult to find. I've been looking for a long time, but I still can't find her. You can't find her even with the North Qianluan? I can't find her. It must be because the North Qianluan still needs to be strengthened. Let me help you. Lin Muyu walked forward and gently held Ziyao's right wrist. Immediately, blood-red lightning surged and a powerful force flowed into Ziyao's body, then into the North Qianluan. For a moment, Ziyao was stunned. The needle on the North Qianluan spun wildly, and waves of divine power wantonly spread out to sense the aura in the universe. Woo-woo, Ziyao closed her eyes in pain. She had never tried to use the North Qianluan under the power of the holy martial arts. For a moment, countless auras and figures flew through her mind. It was not as simple as 100 million. Tens of thousands of creatures appeared in her mind one by one. There were so many that she almost collapsed. However, Ziyao knew that this was a serious matter. She clenched her fists and tried hard to find the people that the North Qianluan had found. She wanted to confirm Miue's identity among the similar targets. Whoosh whoosh. For a moment, layers of energy storms formed around Lin Muyu and Ziyao, making it almost impossible for Qinin, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, and the others to get close. Everyone could only watch from afar. The North Qianluan had been activated for a full 15 minutes. Finally, Ziyao let out a sigh, as if she had exhausted all the strength in her body. She raised her hand and gently touched Lin Muyu's palm. Immediately, a divine sense seeped into her palm. In Lin Muyu's mind, a location among the thousands of worlds appeared. That was where Miue was. Go quickly, Ziyao said softly. If we can find her location, Ziyan can as well. We must find Miue before Ziyan arrives and bring her back to the Eastern Divine Realm. Lin Muyu leaped up, looked down at Qinin and said, Xiaoyin, you stay here to guard the Divine Realm. I will bring the guardians there first. Demon Emperor, follow my aura. If Ziyan really goes there with the 4 heavenly kings, I will need your help. The seven luminaries Demon Emperor leaped up and followed Lin Muyu's sonic boom shuttle into the hyperspace. As for the Guardians, they were not weak to begin with, and the dimensional space was like their home. Their flying speed was not inferior to Lin Muyu and the seven luminaries Demon Emperor, or even better. The deserted spirited mountain floated slowly in the universe of stars. Its only fate was to crash into a certain planet and self-destruct. But before that it had to face a fierce battle. ZZ, in the sky a figure appeared. It was none other than the huge Eastern Sky King. As expected, Ziyin had found Miwa first and sent the murderous Eastern Sky King. The cold wind blew. Eastern Sky King flew above the mountain peak and shouted in an extremely loud voice, "Miwa, come out. I know you are here. Your master and fellow disciples have been beheaded. Why don't you follow them?" In the cave, the cold Miwa curled up her body. She could even see the figure on the mountain in the distance when she looked up, but she hid in the cave without saying a word. Boom. Eastern Sky King lightly slapped out, and the entire mountain range in the distance fell and sank. Such a sturdy mountain peak was actually turned into dust in an instant. This caused Mei Yu's heart to tremble. Eastern Sky King's power had already reached a level that could make one's hair stand on end. Boom, boom. Another two mountains were destroyed and Eastern Sky King flew closer and closer. He raised his proud head, and his ferocious face was full of smiles. He said, "I know you are looking at me, but you can't escape. You can only die." Miwa trembled all over. She knew that Eastern Sky King's next attack would be her death. In the space, the energy hummed, and frightening cracks began to appear in the cave. The whole mountain was in the process of being squeezed and crushed, and this process would only take 1 or 2 seconds to complete. Boom. Miwa couldn't help but close her eyes, and 2 lines of tears fell down. "Master, please forgive Miwa's incompetence. I miss you." Miwa is here. However, Miwa didn't feel any pain. Instead, a strong force appeared beside her. A familiar aura was beside her. She saw a man raise his arm and lift a heavy mountain peak, forcibly blocking Eastern Sky King's destructive attack. He looked down at her, and his eyes were full of concern. "Senior sister, are you okay?" "You? Little junior brother?" Miwa was stunned. The next moment, she hugged her knees and cried bitterly, as if she wanted to vent all her grief and grievances. Chapter 1260. Guardian, Protect Senior Sister Apprentice. Lin Muyu lightly patted Mei Yu's shoulder, then flew off the ground, heading straight for the Eastern Sky King in the sky. Saint Martial energy surged around her, and she immediately entered battle mode. A blood-red cloak unfurled behind her, fluttering in the wind. That was the special attire of a martial god, and it replaced the tattered cloak from before, making her look especially dignified and dignified. "You are the martial god?" East Heaven King looked at Lin Muyu proudly. "You are one of the 4 heavenly kings?" Lin Muyu did not answer but asked, "So what if I am?" East Heaven King raised the huge sword in his hand and said, "No matter who I am, I will kill you, the so-called martial god, today." Lin Muyu sneered, "You are just a waste created by others. How dare you talk nonsense here? I heard that you killed Fan Yang?" "It is me." "So what?" "Nothing." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Muyu had already concentrated the power of AO sword tactics in her right hand. Her figure flew like a shuttle and she shouted, "I will kill you." Eastern Sky King was not a weakling either. He waved his giant sword and roared. His entire body was covered in demonic flames. The devouring power that originated from the divine beast, Hell's servant, seemed to be sweeping everything. Even the rocks on the mountain below were all sucked up and smashed into pieces. The power of this sword was naturally imaginable. Bang! The earth shook and the mountains shook. Waves of air rushed to the surroundings. Lin Muyu's sword contained 90% of the power of AO sword tactics. It directly pushed East Heaven King back. Even the blood vessels in East Heaven King's arms had burst and were full of blood. Roar! East Heaven King roared and swallowed the strength of AO sword tactics around him. He wanted to devour and integrate the power of Lin Muyu and turn it into his own. "Eat my power?" Lin Muyu shouted in a low voice, "I will let you eat as much as you want." Oh! The fiery red sword light soared into the sky, and he instantly launched the full power of AO sword tactics. Not far away, Miwa was stunned. She never knew that Lin Muyu was so strong. This kind of soaring aura was comparable to the peak power of Fushi when he activated the 7 Stars Curse. Was this what it meant by the pupil surpassing the master? At this moment, in the faraway Valley of Fallen Gods, Ziyin suddenly slapped his thigh and turned the god-destroying pagoda around. Instantly, the pagoda spun rapidly and pierced a huge space tunnel. He said anxiously, "3 heavenly kings, follow me. If we delay any longer, East Sky King will die." "Yes, your majesty, ancestral emperor." The 3 heavenly kings followed Ziyan's flying shuttle, but the god of destroying pagoda was left in the Valley of Fallen Gods. If they wanted to reach the scene as quickly as possible, they had to use the god of destroying pagoda. This also meant that they couldn't use the god of destroying pagoda on the other side. Pa pa pa. After several consecutive loud sounds of space shuttling, when Ziyin and the 3 heavenly kings arrived in the sky, they found that a monstrous sword aura was falling from a distance. It was the scene of Lin Muyu killing East Sky King with the full power of AO sword tactics. Ow ow, East Sky King's shout had changed. The whirlpool of devouring around him was overflowing and expanding. In the end, he still underestimated the power of Lin Muyu and the combination of holy martial power and AO sword tactics. The next moment, in front of the eyes of Ziyin and others, East Sky King's body exploded and turned into nothingness. Not even a piece of flesh and blood was left. Lin Muyu stood majestically in the air and looked into the distance. She said, "Ziyin, you are finally willing to come, and you didn't even bring the god of destroying pagoda. Ehe, do you know how to write the word death?" Ziyin sneered, "You have already consumed 30% of your divine power to kill East Sky King. What will you do if there are still 3 heavenly kings? What's more, have you personally experienced my power?" Just as she said, even without the god of destroying pagoda, Ziyin and the 3 heavenly kings could still defeat Lin Muyu. At this moment, a voice came from a mountain not far away. "Don't forget, there's still me." That person sat on a big rock, holding a bunch of freshly picked wild fruits in his hands. He ate and spat. "It tastes terrible." 7 luminaries demon emperor? Ziyin was shocked. He didn't even sense the aura of the 7 luminaries demon emperor. It could be imagined that in just a few months, the cultivation of the 7 luminaries demon emperor had improved by leaps and bounds again. Lin Muyu also smiled and said, "Guardians 7 and 8, stay behind to protect senior sister Miua. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attack the 3 heavenly kings." Ziyin had never heard anyone give such an order. Just when he was in a daze, an awe-inspiring sword aura had already flown over. It was the power of the sword realm of the AO sword tactics. Indeed, Ziyin had always used the god of destroying pagoda to deal with Lin Muyu. He had never used his own strength to deal with the AO sword tactics. This time he had to face it personally. Ziyin's arms were filled with demonic flames. He chuckled and punched out. The moment the fist wind and the sword chi collided, it was as if the heavens and earth had changed color. Without waiting for the 2 forces to completely collide and vanish, Lin Muyu had already leaped forward and sent a heavy punch towards Ziyan's chin, imbued with sword chi. With a loud noise, Ziyan's chin was red and swollen, and his front teeth were about to fly out. But at the same time, his foot also landed heavily on Lin Muyu's waist. Suddenly, the powerful force almost made Lin Muyu suffocate instantly. Ziyin had devoured the power of many masters in the demon realm. He had long been the #1 demon god in the demon realm. Now, his punches and kicks seemed to carry the darkest power between heaven and earth. It was no wonder that he dared to fight Lin Muyu without the god of destroying pagoda. It was just that Ziyin had miscalculated. He originally thought that the 3 heavenly kings could help him, but he didn't expect that Lin Muyu had brought 8 giants who looked similar to him, and their strength was a little scary. 2 against 1, the 4 heavenly kings actually seemed to have the upper hand. It seemed that as long as the 7 luminaries demon emperor made a move, Ziyin would inevitably die. However, the 7 luminaries demon emperor didn't make a move. He was just watching the battle. He held a green apple in his hand and said after taking 2 bites, "You use your strength. Hit his lower body and make him die without descendants." Bam! Lin Muyu's fierce side kick landed on Ziyin's arm, instantly causing Ziyin to move 100 meters horizontally. After all, it was absolutely impossible to gain an advantage in close combat with the Mahayana Heavenly Tao's #1 fighter, the martial god. From the day Lin Muyu obtained the power of the holy martial arts, his bones and muscles had gradually been strengthened and reshaped. He already had strong attack power, endurance and recovery. As for Ziyin, he just wanted to personally experience how strong this martial god was. It would be best if he could win, but even if he couldn't, at least he wouldn't be killed. At least, he had this confidence and certainty. Hong. After a punch sent Ziyin flying dozens of meters, Lin Muyu said, Big brother Demon Emperor, what are you waiting for? Help the Guardians get rid of the other 3 heavenly kings and cut off Ziyan's right-hand man in the demon realm. Okay. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor threw away the sour bayberry, raised his head, and spat the core of the bayberry at the West Heaven King. Suddenly, with a bang, it made the West Heaven King's cheeks red and swollen like a bullet. He scolded angrily, "Who sneak attacked me?" "It's me, your grandfather." The voice came from above. When the West Heaven King looked up, a battle axe with bright light fell from the sky and directly chopped down from the top of his head. With a puff sound, blood splashed. With just one blow, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor split the West Heaven King into 2 with a sneak attack. Damn it. In the sky, Ziyan saw that the situation was not good and immediately growled, "South Heaven King, North Heaven King, retreat immediately." The 2 heavenly kings roared angrily. They broke free from the restraints of the Guardians and endured a few violent beatings. Their figures swayed as they entered the state of shuttling through the dimensional space. The 6 Guardians also roared violently and were ready to chase after them. "Guardians, come back." Lin Muyu knew that the Guardians were actually devourers. They were irritable and temperamental. She couldn't let them go too far when she couldn't control them completely. Fortunately, the Guardians were very obedient to her orders and immediately flew back. "Zizi," the blood-colored thunder spread around. Lin Muyu used the power of the holy martial arts to activate the invisible elephant spell, tearing the surrounding space order, so that Ziyan had no way to escape. She smiled and said, "You nouveau riche who becomes stronger by absorbing the power of others, today is the day you die." Wow, Ziyan's nostrils were constantly bleeding, and the armor on his body was almost smashed by Lin Muyu. He said awkwardly, "If the god-destroying tower is in my hands, can you still act so recklessly?" Lin Muyu pulled out the Shen Yuan sword with a bright smile and said, "Accept your fate." The sword intent danced wildly. No one could enter the battle domain created by Lin Muyu, so the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor could only hold Penga's axe and watch from the outside. However, victory was probably in Lin Muyu's hands. Hong! The Shen Yuan sword slashed down, cutting through the air and turning into a blazing storm. Ziyan couldn't dodge, but the corner of his mouth curled up into a sinister smile. Pooh! With a slash, Ziyan was split into 2 from head to leg. However, Lin Muyu didn't feel any joy, because Ziyan's aura was still very strong and still existed. His body seemed to disintegrate, turning into butterflies and wind, slowly dissipating in the originally sealed domain space. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace, but his aura flew into the distance and didn't weaken much. F***CK, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor gritted his teeth. What is this thing? That's Chu Chu's ability. Lin Muyu's gaze was indifferent. He secretly learned Chu Chu's secret technique. People from the demon realm actually have such a strong learning ability? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was in disbelief. Chu Chu's secret technique was very obscure and difficult to understand, even he couldn't learn it, but Ziyan unexpectedly learned it. Yeah, his learning ability is so strong. Is he trying to get into Tsinghua University or something? Lin Muyu complained, then flew towards Miue and asked with concern, "Senior sister, are you okay?" Miue had already calmed down a lot and said, I'm fine. Come back to the Eastern Divine Realm with me, that's our new home." N. Chapter 1261. Her muscles and bones have suffered quite a bit of damage. Chu Yao diagnosed Miue's injuries and gently covered Miue's body with her palm. Strands of divine power seeped into her body. Suddenly, Chu Yao trembled slightly and said, Her physique is very different from ours. She has very mysterious meridians. It's the holy pulse." Miue opened her eyes and said weakly, "It's a compulsory path to cultivate in the realm beyond heaven. Without forming the holy pulse, one is not qualified to enter the sect. But my holy pulse is mostly damaged." "It's okay. I have a way to restore your holy pulse," Chu Yao said confidently. "Can I really?" Lin Muyu asked eagerly. Miue was Fushi's only remaining disciple apart from herself. Lin Muyu must cherish Miue very much. On the other hand, Miue was pleased to see Lin Muyu's concern and said, "Little junior brother, come here." "Oh." Lin Muyu walked to the bedside and said, "Senior sister, do you have any orders?" "Sit down." "Okay." After Lin Muyu sat down, Miue held onto his hand and said, "We are the only 2 left of the 3 ancestral monarchs. In order to kill Shi Ming, teacher had no choice but to use that 7-star curse. The 7-star curse is a secret art, but it still took away teacher's life. Teacher died to save me and the people of the 6 worlds. We must avenge our teacher and use Ziyan's life as a sacrifice to him. I know. I won't let Ziyan go even if you don't say it. But now is not the right time. The demon world is still very strong. We can't launch an all-out counterattack for now. I know. I will recover as soon as possible. Okay. Lin Muyu nodded. At this time Wei Chou came in from outside and said, Lin General, there is a young lady and a young man outside. The young lady claims to be your student. Her name is Leah and the other is Chang Wei. Do you know them? If not, the guards of the Hall of Great Accomplishment will probably chase them away. I know them. Let them in. Yes. A few seconds later, Ria floated in like the wind and threw herself into Lin Muyu's arms. She smiled and said, Master, Ria missed you so much. For a moment, Qinin and Tang Xiaoxi were stunned. Lin Muyu was also a little embarrassed and said hurriedly, Leah, get up. When Leah got up, Lin Muyu introduced, she is Leah, a disciple I took in from the Eternal Sword domain. She is talented and has unfathomable potential. The other is Chang Wei, a follower I took in from the Eternal Sword domain. Leah, come and get to know them. This is Qinin and this is Tang Xiaoxi. They are both cough. Leah was very smart and naturally understood everything. She smiled and said, the 2 sisters are so beautiful. Master is so lucky. Leah greets the 2 sisters. Don't bully Master in the future. Qinin smiled and said, Leah, aren't you in the Western Divine Realm? Yes, but I heard that Master is back, so I came back with Chang Wei. Chang Wei was very respectful. He bowed and said, Chang Wei greets the righteous gods of the Mahayana Heavenly Tao. No need to be so polite. Feng Jixing said, so, you has already broken the precedent and started taking disciples. No, I only took Leah as a disciple. I don't plan to take in many disciples. Lin Muyu explained. Actually, he was the most afraid of trouble. If he took in a group of disciples, just having to call him master every day would be annoying. Now that he had Leah, he didn't need any more disciples. However, at this moment, Miue, who was lying on the bed, propped up her body and said, Little junior brother? What's wrong, senior sister? Lin Muyu hurriedly helped her up. Mei Yu's face was still very pale. She said, Our teacher has passed away and even our 3 senior and junior brothers have passed away. We need to rebuild the sect. You taking Ria as your disciple is an excellent start. We can only rely on the 2 of us to rebuild the sect. Why are you not willing? Of course I am, but then let's not talk so much. It's decided. After my injuries are healed, we will rebuild the Taishu sect. You can teach the disciples the formless elephant technique and I can teach the Taishu technique, the heaven and earth technique and the 5 elements technique. What do you think? Miue's eyes were full of pleading. After all, Miue had suddenly lost the people who had accompanied her for many years. Now she was almost completely alone. The only thing that could make her feel happy was to rebuild the sect and regain the good times of the past. Lin Muyu thought about it and nodded. Alright, I am duty-bound. However, you will be in charge of the sect. At this time Xiao smiled. Then, welcome the Taishu sect to the Eastern Divine Realm. The Eastern Divine Realm is very pleased. Of course, the school of Taishu was a sect from the sky beyond heavens. Once they entered the Eastern Celestial World, they would be able to spread Fushi's ultimate arts. This would be a great thing for the Eastern Celestial World as it would greatly increase the overall strength of the Eastern Celestial World. Xiao immediately announced, pass down my order. Renovate the palace on the Luoyan Mountain 5 miles south of the Great Accomplishment Mountain. It will be the residence of the Taishu sect. In addition, anyone from the Eastern Divine Realm who is chosen by the Taishu sect must enter the Taishu sect to cultivate. Yes. The gods all replied in unison. The Luoyan Mountain was less than 5 miles away from the Great Accomplishment Mountain. One could even see the majestic shape of the Luoyan Mountain from the top of the Great Accomplishment Hall. The Luoyan Mountain was originally only a part of the Eastern Divine Realm, but its palaces and pavilions were very complete. It was the best place to stay. Sun Feng had asked Xiao 7 or 8 times for the Luoyan Mountain to be used as a garrison, but was rejected every time. Now that Xiao had given the Luoyan Mountain to Lin Muyu, it was a great honor. Lin Muyu looked at the Luoyan Mountain from afar. As she watched the countless Xingtian heavenly army fly to the Luoyan Mountain to repair the damaged buildings, she couldn't help but sigh. Was she finally going to have a place to stay in the Divine Realm? Beside her, Qin smiled. Are you really going to take charge of the Taishu sect? Yes. It is my duty to take charge of the sect. Otherwise, wouldn't I become a coward who only knows how to run away? Xiao Shi and I will give you our full support. Tang Xiaoxi, who was next to Lin Muyu, smiled like a flower. Mu, why don't Xiao Yin and I join the Taishu sect as well? We'll be your students and we'll call you master like Leah does. What do you think? As she spoke, she leaned over and pressed her plump chest against Lin Muyu's. This little girl. Lin Muyu naturally knew what Tang Xiaoxi meant. However, the concept of teacher and student seemed to only be popular in small countries like Japan. It was better to forget about it in the Taishu sect. Otherwise, Fushi's spirit in heaven would be furious. Hugging Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi's shoulders, Lin Muyu said, You two are high gods. I don't have the qualifications to be your teacher. However, once the Taishu sect is rebuilt, I can hire you two to be the grand enforcers of the Taishu sect. You'll be in charge of supervising the cultivation of the sect's disciples, training them and giving them pointers. How about it? Are you two willing? Of course we are. Qin Yin giggled. If Xiao Shi and I are going to live with you, we'll definitely be living in the Luoyan mountain. If we don't do anything for the Taishu sect, won't we just be freeloaders? All right, then it's a deal. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, For now, we don't have enough gods to destroy the tens of millions of troops of the devil world. Moreover, Ziyin doesn't have the strength to launch a counterattack. This is a rare opportunity. We must rebuild the Taishu sect as soon as possible and let more gods appear. Only then can we destroy the devil world's army in one fell swoop or send them back to the devil world. Just as Lin Muyu said, Ziyin was injured and couldn't launch a counterattack. Moreover, 2 of the 4 heavenly kings had fallen in the battle. This was a huge blow to Ziyin. The entire devil world's army lay dormant in the valley of the fallen gods, waiting for an opportunity to move. However, under Chu Yao's careful care, Miyue's injuries healed very quickly. On the 3rd day, she had already begun to regenerate her holy meridians. On the 5th day, her injuries were mostly healed. By this time, the construction of the Luoyan mountain had also been completed. On the 6th day, the Taishu sect was rebuilt. Swoosh! Lin Muyu landed in front of the main hall with a group of people. Looking up, the plaque above the hall had been replaced with the words Taishu. Fushi had understood the wonders of the 8 trigrams and created the Taishu sect. He probably didn't expect this day to come. The Taishu sect was almost completely destroyed, but it was rebuilt not long after. Fushi had accepted very few disciples in his life. He only had Miyue, Lin Muyu, and a few others. Now things were about to change. He had started recruiting disciples 2 days ago. In one day, more than 300 people had signed up. Most of them were old gods from the divine world. But after Miyue's selection, there were only 30 disciples left. Excluding Ria, there were 29 disciples. Now, these disciples had gathered in front of the main hall, waiting for the headmaster's instructions. It was Lin Muyu's first time as a headmaster, so she didn't know how to instruct. She looked at Miyue blankly and asked, Do I really have to be the headmaster? Senior apprentice sister, you joined first. Miyue pursed her lips and smiled. What's wrong? You want to back out now? It's too late. Go up there and say a few words. At least let the disciples know what the Taishu sect is and where it should go. Go. In a flash, Lin Muyu was already on the stairs. She looked at the disciples and said, The school of Taishu was created by our teacher, the Fushi heavenly monarch. We studied the wonders of the universe's Taishu, the Yin-Yang 8 trigrams. Now, our teacher and 3 of our fellow disciples have sacrificed themselves to protect the 6 worlds. Thus, Senior Martial Sister Miyue and I will create a new school of Taishu. Everyone who joins us must remember that the school of Taishu is loyal to the heavenly Tao. We will protect the people and we will never betray them. Ria said, Protect the world and never betray. She was the first to join. Even though she was young, she was still the eldest senior apprentice sister. Everyone followed Ria and shouted, Protect the world and never betray. In the distance, the 7 luminaries demon emperor looked at this scene and sighed. Xiao, should we also create a sect? You see, we have been fighting our own battles all these years. We have never created a sect. Oh. Xiao smiled at him and said, 5,000 years ago, I was the headmaster of the Lingxin sect. At most, I had 2,000 to 3,000 disciples. You didn't know? The 7 luminaries demon emperor was shocked. Damn, when did you create a sect? Why didn't I know? Xiao was speechless. Chapter 1262. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days had passed, and there was still no movement from the devil world. Just like the immortal world, Xian also needed time to rest and reorganize the devil world's army. Otherwise, the outcome of the next battle would be unpredictable. However, within these 7 days, another 20 righteous gods had ascended, especially Eva, one of the 2 seraphs of the Western divine realm, had ascended to the goddess of sacrifice. This news quickly spread throughout the 4 divine realms and encouraged the people. In addition, most of the righteous gods were untitled lower gods of the 3rd tier. It seemed that the power of the heavenly melody scroll had also begun to weaken, and it was unable to give more titles to the righteous gods. The heavenly path of Mahayana had entered an era where untitled righteous gods kept appearing. In these 7 days, Lin Muyu did not go anywhere but stayed on the Luoyan mountain to reorganize the Taishu Gate. In these few days, according to the grading of strength and comprehension, the disciples of the gate were divided into 3 major levels. The 3rd level was the weakest, and they practiced the 5 elements technique and the heaven and earth technique. The 2nd level disciples could practice the Taishu art and the martial god art. The 1st level disciples were the most talented, and they could practice the formless elephant art and the star art. Obviously, Leah belonged to the 1st level and she followed Lin Muyu to practice the star art and the light hunting art every day. Everything was very peaceful until one morning a few days later. Boom! A sound that seemed to explode reverberated above the Luoyan mountain, and Lin Muyu suddenly woke up from her meditation. Looking not far away, she saw Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi jumping off the bed almost at the same time. Their bodies were plated with a layer of golden light, and they were wearing the goddess battle dress. Although she did not know what happened, the sound was not normal. What happened? I don't know, Lin Muyu frowned. Let's go take a look. With a crisp sound, Lin Muyu had already disappeared, breaking through the void and heading towards the sky. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi also quickly followed. In the sky of the Eastern Divine Realm, the shadows of the gods kept appearing. Even the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Ziyao, Feng Jixing, Wei Chou, and the others had arrived, and they all stared at the sky dumbfounded. There was a huge figure about 5 meters tall like a giant, but it did not look like a giant from any plane. The mottled rust revealed its identity. This was not a living body but a machine. However, in the machine's left arm was a huge dark blue warhammer. With a sudden swing, it completely disintegrated a spirit mountain. Rumbling sounds rang out incessantly as the spirited mountain cracked open from the core. The machine actually let out a wild roar as it opened its mouth and began to devour the energy within the spirited mountain's core. Thunderworld, it's over. Xiao murmured. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Lin Muyu, and the others all stood in the distance, motionless. They could feel how vast the energy field of this huge machine was. Everyone knew that Spirit Mountain was a fundamental part of the divine realm. The gods lived on Spirit Mountain, so the sturdiness of Spirit Mountain was evident. Even the war of the gods couldn't destroy all of Spirit Mountain, and the number of people who could destroy Spirit Mountain with one blow could be counted on one hand. But this machine had done it. What the hell is this? Looking at the machine that was devouring the energy of Spirit Mountain, Feng Jixing couldn't help but frown and ask. Among the crowd, only an untitled god with blue eyes trembled. It's Titan? It's the awakening of Titan? Titan? Lin Muyu glanced at him and said, Lani, Titan is just a legend. Moreover, this is just a powerful machine. What does it have to do with Titan? Lani shook his head slowly. Your Highness, you might not know this, but this Titan is definitely not an ordinary machine. Lani slowly shook his head. Your Majesty, War God might not know this, but this Titan is not a normal machine. A normal machine, even a concentrated energy cannon, would not be able to blast open the core of a spirit mountain, but a Titan can do it. Titan is an immortal life form, they have existed since ancient times. Didn't you see it? Its power source is the spiritual energy within the spirit mountain, not nuclear energy or gasoline. This thing is not a machine. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor said indifferently, the problem is, how did this thing find our Eastern Divine Realm? Lani said in a low voice, the ancient Titan has always been in a comatose state and has sunk for hundreds of thousands of years. Now that it has awakened, it won't be as simple as just one Titan, but an entire race. At this moment, a buzzing sound came from afar. This Titan seemed to have finished enjoying the spiritual power of Spirit Mountain. Its eyes emitted a deep blue light, and the hammer in its hand suddenly flew toward Mount Deshang. F***ck, it wants to eat Mount Deshang? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor suddenly raised Pangu's axe and flew forward, blocking the path of the hammer and sweeping it horizontally. Boom! Crazy energy exploded, and the Titan's hammer was turned back. The hammer was surrounded by a blood-colored spiritual power. The 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor didn't have it easy either. He was actually forced back hundreds of meters by the hammer, and even entered Berserk God mode. The blood-colored cloak behind him fluttered, and he had a look of shock on his face. Lani said loudly, "Your Highness Demon Emperor, we must gather all our strength. Otherwise we won't be able to kill this Titan. It will continue to devour until the entire God realm is destroyed. Titans are ancient gods, gods who ruled the world before the gods appeared. They are not machines, so we can't underestimate them." Roar! In the air, the Titan's body glowed with a blood-colored light. The hammer in its hand was raised again, and its target was the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor. This time Lin Muyu didn't just sit and watch. Instead, she quickly pulled out the Xian Yuan sword and attacked from the side. With a low roar, she activated the AO sword technique to 60% and slashed at the side of the Titan. Lin Muyu was fast, but the Titan seemed a little clumsy. It couldn't dodge at all, and Lin Muyu's sword got close to it. However, the moment it got close, the Titan roared again, and a layer of energy instantly plated dozens of centimeters around its body. It was an energy shield filled with spiritual power. The Xian Yuan sword slashed down with a clang, but it only cut open the energy shield. It couldn't attack the Titan's body. Brr. The Titan's right arm attacked like lightning, directly hitting Lin Muyu's arm. Golden light bloomed, and the AO sword technique protected her body, blocking the attack. In front of her, an axe spiraled through the air and directly hit the Titan's head, which had lost its shield. It was the Pangu axe controlled by the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor. Good. Lin Muyu held the long sword horizontally and stabbed it. Suddenly, the bright sword light penetrated the Titan's body. At the same time, a spiritual storm surged outwards, making Lin Muyu feel pain as if his skin was being scratched by a blade. However, the martial god's body was so tough that he finally shattered the Titan's heart with another attack. Wah! This huge killing machine actually let out a sigh like a human, and the light in its eyes dimmed. It was dead. Lin Muyu carried the Titan beast's gigantic body with one hand and flew towards Mount Deshang. The Eastern Celestial Realm's gods were all dumbfounded. A gigantic creature that required the martial god and the mad god to work together to kill. Nobody knew what this thing was. Boom! The Titan's body was thrown in the open space in front of the Hall of Deshang, stirring up a lot of dust. The gods landed one by one. The 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor frowned and said, "Such a big guy came and there was no news at all. Who is in charge of patrolling the periphery of the Eastern Divine Realm today? Come out." The god of Earth Nangong Lai took a step forward, cupped his fists and said, "It's me. Demon Emperor, I didn't feel the Titan's power either. I only noticed that a big hole had been pierced through the wall of space. Then this big guy suddenly appeared near Mount Deshang." Lin Muyu squatted down and examined the Titan's body. She said, "Big brother, there's no need to look into who's responsible. When did the Titan come? Even I didn't sense it. This thing doesn't have any divine power. It only relies on the spiritual energy it devours. What do we do now?" Xiao asked. "Dissect it and see?" Lin Muyu said. Chu Yao was stunned. "Sure." And so Lin Muyu raised the Xinyuan sword and cut open the Titan's body where its heart was. She saw that there were actually veins under the mottled steel, and blood was even gushing out of them. The heart was glowing with a brilliant blue light, but it had already stopped beating. Not a single organ was missing. Furthermore, almost all of the Titan's organs were preserved within the protective layer of steel. In addition, there were many pipes used to transport spiritual energy. It looked very complicated. "This is an organic life form," Lani said confidently. "It seems that the records in the ancient books are correct. These Titans are all cursed gods. They lost their eternal life, so they can only use the steel technology of the ancient civilization to extend their lives. They look like machines, but they're still gods. It's just that they've mastered the method to devour spiritual energy. Once the entire Titan race awakens, I'm afraid it'll be very troublesome." Lin Muyu asked, "Lani, how do you know so much?" Lani smiled awkwardly. "Because I was born in the world where the Titans fell. It's called the Void Realm and it's just a ruin. I'm an orphan and grew up in abandoned raw materials. I can only eat food that's been severely contaminated by radiation. Fortunately, I was blessed by the gods and obtained the opportunity to ascend. Tell me about the Titans." The 7 luminaries demon emperor sat down on the rusty leg of the Titan's corpse. His blood-colored cloak fluttered behind him as he said, I want to know more about the Titans as well as what they want to do and what they want to do after they awaken. Lan Yi bowed respectfully and said, Your Majesty, the Titans were originally just a legend. They're buried deep under the Void Realm and have been sleeping for countless years, so much so that people have forgotten about them. I've only read about them in a book left behind in the ruins. These ancient gods were cursed after they were defeated. Having lost their eternal life, they abandoned themselves and sank into the endless abyss. Their home, the Void Realm, became a wasteland due to overexploitation. People thought that the Titans had given up on them, but now it seems that the Titans did not give up. On the contrary, they used the technology of the ancient civilization and their own strength to complete a new evolution. Let's call it evolution for now. Feng Jixing walked forward and knocked on the Titan's head with the back of his finger. He said, You're saying that these Titans gave up their bodies and replaced them with steel? Yes, and these aren't ordinary steel. They're made of a special alloy that's very strong. I'd like to ask something. The 7 luminaries demon emperor stood up and said, Why did the Titans come to us? Because the spiritual power in the Eastern Divine Realm is the most vigorous. The 7 luminaries demon emperor fell silent and looked at Lin Muyu. Both of them felt their hearts sink. People always said that the road to happiness was strewn with setbacks, but the Eastern Divine Realm had too many setbacks. Chapter 1263. How many of these Titans are there in total? Qinin asked. Lan Yi replied respectfully, I'm not too sure myself, but there are records in the books that at least tens of thousands of gods fell into the abyss. Taking into account the failure rate of transforming into Titan machines, there are at least thousands of such giant gods. Qinin fell silent. Lin Muyu raised her head and said, The first thing to figure out is what the Titans want. If they only need spiritual power, then we can let them occupy some spirit mountains and live in harmony. However, if the Titans only want to destroy the world, then I'm afraid a battle between us and the Titans is unavoidable. Xiao looked at the ruins of the Thunderous Realm's spirit mountain from afar and shook her head with a bitter smile. I'm afraid it's not as simple as absorbing spiritual power. They obviously want destruction. If that's the case, it'll be troublesome. Lin Muyu looked to the north and said, The Devil Realm has been restless. If the Devil Realm and the Titans join forces, it'll be our end. The 7 luminaries demon emperor dusted off the engine oil on his palms and said, We need to go to the Void Realm. No. Lin Muyu shook her head and said, If the Titans are really malicious, then it's obviously not appropriate for us to go to the Void Realm. No matter who goes, I'm afraid they won't be able to return. So be it. It's better than staying here and waiting for death. The 7 luminaries demon emperor stepped forward and grabbed the handle of Pengu's axe. He stepped on the Titan's head and pulled the axe out. It was immediately stained with blood and oil. Lan Yi said, Demon Emperor, wait a moment. Since this Titan has come to the Divine Realm, the other Titans shouldn't be staying in the Void Realm. Even if you go to the Void Realm now, you'll only find ruins. Besides, the Void Realm is far away and it won't be easy to go there. Why don't we wait a little longer? Wait. The 7 luminaries demon emperor said calmly, Wait for the second batch of Titans to attack? That's true. I'm afraid it'll be too late. Enough, I'll go. Lin Muyu stood up. You're going? Yes. Lin Muyu nodded. It's most suitable for me to go. Firstly, even if I can't defeat them, I can still escape. Secondly, Demon Emperor, you have to stay in the Eastern Divine Realm, so it's not suitable for you to leave. Furthermore, Sister Xiao will be able to send me there very quickly using the Northern Skywheel. I'll be able to return quickly as well, so there won't be any delays. Even if the Titans really attack the mountain, I'll be able to make it back in time. I want to go too. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi said almost at the same time. Xiao couldn't help but smile. Even if you're of the same mind, it wouldn't be good if more people went together, right? Yes. Lin Muyu smiled and said, I'll go alone. I don't have anything to worry about. Don't worry, I'll find the Titan leader as soon as possible and ask him about the situation. Sister Xiao, thank you for your hard work. Lin Muyu took a step forward and stood in the open space, closing her eyes. Xiao summoned the Northern Skywheel and quickly searched for the location of the Void Realm. The next moment, a light flashed and Lin Muyu was nowhere to be found. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Chu Chu, Xiao, Feng Jixing, and the other deities raised their heads to look at the sky, watching Lin Muyu leave. It was true that in terms of strength in the entire Eastern Divine Realm, Lin Muyu was the well-deserved number one. Moreover, he was not the supreme ruler of the Eastern Divine Realm, so he was the most suitable person to go. Whoosh! The time quicksand continued to slide around her. Under the impact of the time quicksand, her body automatically resisted it. Lin Muyu involuntarily entered her martial god form. She wore a dazzling armor and a cloak behind her. She traversed through the stars in a heroic manner. In less than a quarter of an hour, she had already arrived at her destination through the teleportation of the northern sky wheel. Her figure suddenly surged through the air and appeared above the void realm. At that time it was night time and the land of the void realm was a mess. The wreckage of huge bodies was everywhere, and a rotten smell rose to the sky. Lin Muyu could even see wanderers walking through the wilderness looking for food and some wild dogs running around. However, those were not what he was looking for. Finding the whereabouts of the Titans was his goal. As the shuttle flew through the faint clouds, Lin Muyu spread out her spiritual sense to search for the celestial body as much as possible. Sure enough, she could sense wisps of spiritual power appearing in the depths of the earth not long after. Moreover, the spiritual power in the void realm was very thin. It was obvious that it had been exhausted by the Titans. It was no wonder that it had become an abandoned celestial body. How to go to the depths of the earth? This was a problem. After searching for a long time, there was still no entrance to the depths of the earth. Whoosh! Just as Lin Muyu was thinking, a black shadow suddenly shot out from the ground. It was a hook-shaped battle axe, dragging a long iron chain behind it, and went straight for Lin Muyu's abdomen. It's coming. Lin Muyu became excited. She shook her arms and concentrated the power of the holy martial arts. Her figure leaped lightly in the air to avoid the attack from the Titan on the ground. She grabbed the handle of the hook-shaped battle axe with a backhand and followed it back to the ground. Sure enough, in the wilderness, a behemoth was retrieving the battle axe. Lin Muyu took advantage of the situation and clenched her right fist. She slammed 60% of the power of the AO sword tactics into the Titan's head. Boom. The Titan buzzed from the attack, and Lin Muyu did not give it a chance to fight back. She flew up and hit the Titan's vital point with her knee. She turned around and kicked in the air. With a clang, the Titan's head was almost deformed. It turned out that there were strong and weak Titans. This Titan was much weaker than the one that destroyed the Spirit Mountain in the Thunderous Realm. At least it was not as agile and violent. Wah! The Titan let out a painful wail and lightning flashed around him. He wanted to leave. Lin Muyu naturally sensed that the Titan was going to leave. He was now using a power similar to teleportation. In for a penny, in for a pound. Lin Muyu opened her arms and hugged one of the Titan's arms. She said in a low voice, "If you want to leave, take me with you." Titan was obviously taken aback, but he had no choice but to release the arrow. Following the flickering of lightning, a layer of energy rippled outwards, bringing Lin Muyu along as they traveled downwards. Ping ping ping. After passing through 3 layers of barriers, Lin Muyu was dumbfounded. There was actually a barrier underground. No wonder the spiritual pulse technique could not detect it. Light flashed in front of Lin Muyu's eyes, and she saw a shocking scene. Underground it looked like a huge factory. Countless complicated machines were operating, making loud noises. Moreover, there were many layers of this factory, and it was so intricate that it was unimaginable. After passing through the last layer of the barrier, Lin Muyu's vision darkened. Lin Muyu forced himself to open his eyes and saw that he had landed on a mountain range. It turned out that there was such a thing underground. But when he took a closer look, Lin Muyu was stunned. The forest on both sides was not a forest at all, but Titans. For a moment, countless pairs of blue eyes stared at him, and he felt a chill run down his spine. Outsider. A Titan clenched his fists and said eagerly, "Those who enter the Holy Land without permission will die. Outsider, let me be your opponent." The rest of the Titans roared in response. Lin Muyu spun and landed on the ground. She looked at the group of Titans calmly. Suddenly, she sheathed her sword and raised her hands. She said, "I have no ill intentions. I want to see your patriarch." "See the patriarch?" The Titan who challenged her let out a cold mechanical laugh. "You are not qualified to see the patriarch. You are just an outsider. You must die." "No, I must see your patriarch. This is also for the sake of the Titan tribe." With that, holy martial power surged into Lin Muyu's body. He suddenly shouted, "Patriarch Tyrant, I want to see you. Come out." The group of Titans seemed to have gone berserk. Many of them raised their war hammers and axes and roared, "Noya, kill him! Kill him immediately! Outsiders are not qualified to see the patriarch tyrant, even if he is a god." However, at that moment the mountain range suddenly trembled a few times. Closely after, an elderly voice rang out from behind the crowd. "Let him go. This is not an ordinary outsider." The titans opened up a path, and a titan who was almost twice the size of the other titans walked over. He held a thick metal staff that was 10 meters long. He walked over step by step, and each step was like an earthquake. When he arrived 5 meters in front of Lin Muyu, he looked at Lin Muyu with his starving blue eyes and said, "Who exactly are you? I can sense how majestic your godly power is. You are a new god, an abnormally powerful new god. Those old gods are unable to defeat the titans." "You are Elder Tyrant?" Lin Muyu asked. "Yes, that's me." "Can you see me?" Lin Muyu doubted Elder Tyrant's eyes. However, Elder Tai Lan laughed. "In order to resist the corrosion of time, our Titan race has no choice but to abandon our physical eyes and use the mechanical spirit eyes to observe. However, you don't have to worry. I can see you, and I'm much clearer than you can see other things. Speak, outsider. Who exactly are you, and why have you come to the Titan race?" Lin Muyu said, "I come from the Eastern God realm. I am a martial god of the Mahayana heavenly path. My name is Lin Muyu." "Martial god?" Elder Tyrant seemed nostalgic. "Martial god is the god of war from back then, right? I didn't expect the new god to confer the title of God of War again. Alright, God of War, you have the right to speak in the sacred land of the Titan race. Now tell me, what exactly do you want to do here?" "I should be the one asking what you want to do." Lin Muyu said, "Not long after, one of your titans barged into the Eastern God realm and devoured and destroyed a spirit mountain. There were billions of living beings under that spirit mountain." "A titan devoured a spirit mountain?" Elder Tyrant seemed very surprised. "Impossible. That's completely impossible. We titans love all living beings and would never do something like destroying a spirit mountain. Absolutely impossible, but that's the truth." Lin Muyu raised her palm and divine power surged. She projected the scene of the titan destroying the thunderous realm. Immediately, the group of titans, including Elder Tyrant, was stunned. "How is this possible? Who is this titan?" Elder Tyrant roared. Among the group of titans, only one stood up and said, "It's Alenko, Elder Tyrant." Alenko left the Void Realm 30 years ago in search of a new world. He followed Elder Lei Luan to a faraway place to search for new energy. "Elder Tyrant, have you forgotten?" Could it be Lei Luan? Tyrant was very agitated. His entire body was trembling as he said, "Lei Luan betrayed the gods' pact. He betrayed the Titan race." "Oh my god," Lin Muyu had a rough idea of what was going on. She said, "So, there's a traitor in the Titan race?" "That's right." Tyrant slowly sat on the ground and said, "It's another elder of the Titan race. His name is Lei Luan. 30 years ago, when the energy ran out, he left the Void Realm with most of the Titans. Now it seems that Lei Luan has found a solution to the depletion of energy. At the same time, he has also betrayed the covenant we've followed for many years." Lin Muyu was speechless. Chapter 1264. Is his solution to the problem to devour all the spiritual mountains and destroy the plains? With a single thought, he can kill at least 10 million people. Is this your elder's solution? Lin Muyu slowly sat on a tree root that had been cut off at the waist. She held the Xinyuan sword in her hand and said, "Elder, the Titan race should give the world an explanation." "I know, of course I know." Elder Tai Lan seemed to be a little tired, and he sat on the ground with a thud. He looked at Lin Muyu and said, "The Titan race used to be the god race that ruled the world, but we were defeated by Zeus and ended up in this state. Since then, our race has been divided. Some of the Titans think that we should go into hiding and enjoy the peace of the world, while others think that we should find a way to survive and take revenge on our enemies." Lin Muyu smiled. "Looks like Elder Lei Luan's group is the revenge group, right?" "Yes." Elder Tai Lan said, "Lei Luan's parents were cruelly killed when he was young. Ever since then, the seed of revenge has been planted in Lei Luan's heart. Now he is left with most of the Titan warriors for a long time, and he has finally found a way to take revenge. However, the price he has to pay is the lives of billions of people." Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "I'm sure Elder is very clear about the Titan's power. Right now, the main gods of the Mahayana heavenly path are basically no match for the Titans. Moreover, the demon realm is at war with the god realm. If these Titan warriors cause trouble, the entire god realm will be in danger, and it might even bring about destruction. A dim light flickered in Elder Tai Lan's eyes as he said, "Is the martial god suspecting that Lei Luan's revenge group will ally with the demon realm to deal with the god realm?" "That's possible." Ha 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 ha. Elder Tai Lan suddenly laughed, and his huge mechanical body rumbled continuously. After a few seconds he stopped and said, "I think the martial god is thinking too much. Lei Luan's target is definitely not you main gods. Once he obtains enough energy through plundering, he will attack his true enemies." "True enemies?" Lin Muyu was stunned. Who is Lei Luan's true enemy? "The ancient gods of the sky beyond heaven." Elder Tai Lan took a deep look at the other party and said, "It was the ancient gods who took everything from us. They took away the godly powers of Lei Luan's parents, causing them to die instantly. If Lei Luan's power was strong enough, he would definitely attack the sky beyond heaven and not the gods of the 6 realms." Lin Muyu's heart sank. This might not be a good thing for our 6 realms. The Mahayana heavenly Tao originates from the sky beyond heaven. Once the sky beyond heaven is conquered, the source of power for the 6 realms will disappear. When that time comes, another heavenly punishment will be inevitable. Elder Tai Lan said, "Martial God, don't worry. As long as I'm alive, I won't let Lei Luan do as he pleases. Even if I have to use up my last bit of strength, I'll stop Lei Luan from destroying the world." "How?" "My clan still has more than 3,000 Titan warriors. I'll bring them out of the Void Realm and search for Lei Luan's army. As long as we find Lei Luan, we'll immediately bring him back to the Void Realm and seal their power. At least, we won't let these worlds perish in the hands of the Titan clan. In ancient times, we were the protectors of the world." Elder Tai Lan's eyes flickered, and his body emitted the sound of old machinery rubbing against each other. He stood up with the support of his metal staff and seemed to be strenuous. Lin Muyu frowned and said, "If I didn't hear wrongly, Elder, you only have around 3,000 Titan warriors under your command, while Lei Luan has more than 5,000 Titan warriors. I'm afraid that with your strength, you won't be able to fight against his revenge army, right?" "Yes, I can't fight, but that doesn't mean I won't fight. The Titan clan will never lose the courage to fight." Elder Tai Lan raised his metal staff high and roared, "Warriors of the Titan clan, pack your energy bags. It's time for us to set off. We'll search for the lost warriors and bring them back to our home. They haven't seen their families for too long." The group of Titans raised their clumsy weapons one after another, and their roars were deafening. It was as if thousands of fighter jets had taken off at the same time, and the roars were almost unbearable. Lin Muyu stood up, and her body continued to rise until she was at the same level as Elder Tai Lan's head. She said, "The information I can provide you is that one of the Titans of the Revenge faction has appeared at Mount Deshang in the Eastern Divine Realm. We don't know where the rest are. If Elder Tai Lan launches an attack on the Revenge faction, the Divine Realm can cooperate and help you." "There's no need." Elder Tai Lan's tone was very resolute as he said, "The Titan clan's matters will be settled by the Titan clan itself. The martial god just needs to sit back and wait for the results." "What if you lose?" "Then you'll lose." Elder Tai Lan walked closer and looked at Lin Muyu. He said, "If our Titan clan is defeated, it means that the Titan clan has completely fallen and fallen. Martial God, please kill all the Titans. Don't show any mercy. If the Titans can't become the protector of the world, then let us be completely annihilated." His tone was very calm, as if he was discussing a very ordinary matter. Lin Muyu frowned. "Why must you reject the Divine Realm's help?" "Because." Elder Tai Lan's gaze became fierce and he said, "Because your Mahayana Heaven's way originates from the outer heavens, and you're the descendants of the mortal enemies of our Titan clan. Could it be that you want our Titan clan to form an alliance with our former enemies?" Lin Muyu didn't say anything else. She cupped her fists and said, "Then I wish you good luck. I'll be leaving. Farewell, martial god." Elder Tai Lan watched as Lin Muyu flew up. Meanwhile, Lin Muyu looked down and discovered that many colossal beings were rising from the ground. Air currents were surging. It was just as Elder Tai Lan had said. The Titan clan's internal strife was about to begin. There's actually such a history. After hearing Lin Muyu's words, everyone was extremely astonished. Xiao frowned slightly and said, "In that case, the Titans have already refused to communicate with us. Are they going to use their clan's method to settle the problem?" "Yes, Elder Tai Lan seems like a stubborn old man. He doesn't listen to my words at all. Lin Muyu took a cup of water from Tang Xiaoxi and drank it in one gulp. She said, once the Titan clan starts an internal strife, it will definitely be a world-shaking battle. Regardless of whether Elder Tai Lan's group wins or loses, we should make preparations in advance and protect the various spiritual mountains under the Eastern Divine Realm. We can't let the Titans devour them anymore. The more planes they devour, the stronger they will become. When they are strong enough, they will attack the sky beyond heaven. Feng Jixing stood up and said, furthermore, Ziyan is still eyeing us covetously. As the master of the Devil Realm, he definitely won't miss such an opportunity. I'm worried that he will instigate or even help Lei Luan's revenge faction to defeat Elder Tai Lan's group. When that time comes, it will be too late for regrets. We won't even have a chance to turn the tables. We must plan ahead. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor nodded and said, that's right. However, we must first find out where the Titans will start their internal strife. Only then can we make preparations in advance. Therefore, we need to send people out and keep an eye on the Titan clan's movements at all times. Miue said, Mount Deshang is full of spiritual energy. We can fight against the Devil Realm's Mara army on Mount Deshang, but once we leave Mount Deshang, the outcome will be hard to predict. That's right. Ziyan still has a powerful Devil Realm army, as well as those demon gods that are continuously ascending from the lower realm. It's said that they have recently gained a few more upper demon gods. It's very difficult to deal with them. Chu Yao's gaze was faint. In terms of insight, no one in the god realm could compare to her. Then what should we do? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor frowned and asked. Lin Muyu put down her teacup and said resolutely, send out a small number of the Heaven Punishment Heavenly Army to patrol all the Heaven Realms regions. Pay attention to protect yourselves. The rest of the gods, prepare yourselves and set off at any time. Yes. At night, the gods did not rest early. Lin Muyu brought Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to the Luoyan mountain to stare blankly at the moonlight. Yu, Feng Jixing, Wei Chou and Chu Yao are here. Miue's voice came from behind. Oh. When Lin Muyu turned around, 3 figures landed on the ground and condensed into 3 figures. The 3 of them bowed to Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi at the same time. This made Qin Yin feel very awkward. She could only quickly support them and said with a smile, now that we are not in the Shattered Cauldron realm, this is really too much for Xiaoyin. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. Big brother Feng, Wei Chou, big sister Chu Yao, you must have something to do here, right? Nothing. Feng Jixing waved his hand and said, we are just here to gather and drink tea. Isn't that good? All right. Someone brew tea. Yes, sect master. The 2 young disciples went to get the tea set, while Lin Muyu and the others sat on the ground, facing the cool breeze and looking at the moon. They were all from the Shattered Cauldron realm, so there was a saying in the Divine Realm, there are countless geniuses in the Shattered Cauldron realm. Compared to other planes, the righteous gods in the Shattered Cauldron realm were indeed much more common. This was probably related to luck and environment. No one knows better than Yu how strong the Titan giants are. Feng Jixing's eyes dimmed. If a war really breaks out, what do you think our chances of winning are? About 30%. Lin Muyu frowned and said, that's still an optimistic estimate. The power contained in the Titan's body is comparable to that of an entire plane. Ordinary gods are no match for them at all. In my opinion, the strength of the elite warriors of the Titan race is very close to that of a first-tier superior god. Even if they are below elite level 1, they are probably at the same level as Little Yin, Little Shi, and Brother Feng. Oh. Feng Jixing was secretly shocked. Lin Muyu spoke objectively and didn't hold back. After all, a war was imminent and there was no point in flattering oneself. Lin Muyu continued, if we include divine weapons and superior martial arts, perhaps our second-class superior gods can fight a Titan alone and not lose. However, we only have a handful of superior gods and the number of Titans. According to what I know, Lei Luan has more than 5,000 Titans under his command, and Elder Tai Lan has more than 3,000. They are already far above us. Can't we find Lei Luan first and negotiate with them? Wei Chou asked. Immediately Lin Muyu was startled and Miue also fell silent. Chapter 1265. Lei Luan's character is obviously not as honest as Elder Tai Lan's. We're the descendants of the gods of outer heaven, which means that we're the descendants of the Titan's mortal enemies. Do you think that Lei Luan, who's not that honest, will cooperate with us? Lin Muyu smiled faintly. If we really send someone to look for Lei Luan, then that person will definitely not come back alive. Are the Titans really that strong? Miwa asked with a slight frown. Yes. Lin Muyu said, if Elder Tai Lan doesn't want me to leave alive after I enter the Void Realm, then I definitely won't be able to come out alive. At most 7 or 8 Titans will die and I'll be killed. In the Titans' homeland there's always a huge machine roaring. I can sense at least 3 layers of energy shields enveloping their homeland. Not only can these shields block the enemy but they can also block my power to shatter the void. Unless we kill them all, there's almost no chance of escaping. Everyone was stunned. Tang Xiaoxi looked at Lin Muyu with her beautiful eyes and asked, Mu, it's too rash and risky to ask you to look for the Titans this time. I won't let you take this risk next time. It's fine. Besides, I was the one who suggested it. Lin Muyu looked around and said, do you have any good ideas to deal with the Titans? Everyone saw the battle during the day. I think the Titans will definitely become our enemy, and they'll be our mortal enemies. This is almost inevitable. Feng Jixing said, we didn't fight the Titans directly. Tell us about their strength first. The interior of the Titans' bodies is a huge energy field, and their hearts are the core of the energy field. This energy field provides the Titans with a layer of defensive shield outside their bodies. This shield is very difficult to break. Everyone saw during the day that the Demon Emperor and I worked together to break this layer of defensive shield. In addition, there are many holes on the surface of the Titans' bodies. These holes will spew out scorching air currents with similar lethality to the dimensional wind blades. If we're not careful, our shield might be broken through and we'll die. Feng Jixing frowned and said, in other words, only by attacking the Titan's head or heart can we stop them. Otherwise they will continue fighting endlessly, right? Yes, that's it. Lin Muyu thought for a moment and said, the Titan's body is made of a kind of sturdy alloy. I've seen a factory that produces this kind of alloy. It's extremely huge and ordinary swords can't do any damage to this kind of alloy. Both my and the Demon Emperor's weapons are first-class divine weapons, so we can barely cut through this kind of alloy. If it were other divine weapons they might not be able to. Wei Chou said, Lin General, I tested it during the day. The Ho Yi Bao's decaying power is enough to pierce through a Titan's alloy. And at the moment I shot the arrow, I infused the power of retribution into the arrowhead. This way the arrowhead will explode in the Titan's heart. As long as I have enough time to test it in actual combat, I believe it won't be a problem to kill a Titan with one arrow. Lin Muyu was pleasantly surprised. Wei Chou, are you really that confident? Yes, I hope this assumption of mine isn't blind confidence. No, I believe in you. It definitely isn't. If we really start fighting, I'll arrange for people to protect you, the God of Justice. When the time comes, we'll see how many Titans you can kill. Yes. Wei Chou was somewhat at a loss. He also knew what it meant to arrange for people to protect him. Perhaps it was just using those untitled lesser gods to protect him as cannon fodder. But war was like this, merciless and cruel. Wars in the divine realm might be even more tragic than those in the mortal realm. This had already been proven. The gods that were high and mighty in the eyes of mortals might only be cannon fodder in a divine war. At this moment, energy suddenly surged under a peach tree. Peach blossoms began to spin, forming a graceful circle. A beam of light fell from the circle and condensed into the form of blazing angel Xiyan. Sister Xiyan. Qin Yin stood up with a smile. Qin, how are you guys? Xiyan asked with a smile. Good. What about you? I'm doing well too. Is everyone here? When Xiyan saw everyone, she hurriedly tidied up her originally elegant blazing angel cloak and said, I heard about the Titan tribe. In fact, the Titan tribe is the ancestor of our angel tribe. Have you guys come to a decision? Yes. Lin Muyu said, once Elder Tai Lan's branch starts fighting with Elder Lei Luan's branch, we will participate in the battle and help Elder Tai Lan win the Titan War. Looks like you guys are indeed planning to participate in the war. Shi Yan smiled and said, if you decide to participate in the war, the Western Divine Realm will naturally participate as well. This will save you guys from being isolated and helpless. When the time comes, you just need to give me a signal. Lin Muyu nodded and asked, Sister Xian, you should look for the Demon Emperor to discuss such a big matter between the two divine realms, not us. After all, we can't completely decide the matters of the Eastern Divine Realm. Sigh. Xian sighed and didn't say anything. Qinin asked, what's wrong? The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor. I can't be bothered to talk to him. Not only does he blurt out vulgarities, he even flirts with me sometimes. To be honest, I think that you, Xin, and you are more suitable to be the rulers of the Eastern Divine Realm than him. Qinin giggled. The Demon Emperor has always been like that. You'll get used to it. All right. Xian looked around and said, I'm leaving. I can't maintain my telekinesis for too long. Once the Titan War starts, you must inform me. Oh. Xian turned around and disappeared. Only Lin Muyu and the others were left at the edge of the spirited mountain, drinking tea and chatting. This had almost become their daily routine. Otherwise, the divine realm would be so lonely and desolate. In the Valley of Fallen Gods, countless Mara were circling in the air. On the ground there were piles of bonfires. The main members of the demon realm had already gathered here. A half-cooked spiritual deer was roasted on top of the bonfire. Ziyin sat at the side lying on the grass. He played with a shining dagger in his hand. He glanced at a group of people and said, Are all of you demon gods who have ascended from the divine realms? Yes, your majesty. A strong man cupped his fists and said, My title is Demon God of Flying Flame. I am a first-tier higher deity from the 9 spiritual realm. Another thin man said, My title is Demon God of Destruction. I am a second-tier higher deity from the Hongyu realm. The rest of the people also said, My title is Demon God of Absolute Cloud. I am a third-tier higher deity from the spiritual insect realm. My title is Demon God of Devouring Heaven. I am a second-tier higher deity from the Ascendant realm. My title is Demon God of Thunder. I am a second-tier higher deity from the Celestial Pole continent. After the group had finished explaining, Ziyin smiled playfully. Not bad, not bad. It seems that the demon realm's strength is increasing day by day. In the future, when we unify the 6 realms, all of you will share the prosperity with me. Thank you, Your Majesty. Beside him, Holy King Baifeng said respectfully, Your Majesty, we now have a total of 27 upper demon gods, over 400 intermediate demon gods, and over 5,000 lower demon gods from various galaxies. They have now completed the integration with the demonic aura and become our brave warriors. Good. Ziyin slowly rose from his lying position and stood up straight. Demonic flames danced around him, and his aura was piercingly cold. He smiled and said, Listen, all the upper demon gods will be conferred the title of Holy King, the intermediate demon gods will be conferred the title of Demon General, and the lower demon gods will be conferred the title of Mara Leader. I hope that all of you will do your best to fight for the demon realm in the upcoming war. Long live the demon realm. Long live Your Majesty. The demon gods cheered and cheered. There were many rules in the demon world and the ranks were clearly defined. Once one became a saint ruler, it was equivalent to being below only one and above tens of thousands of people. They would be able to enjoy endless power and wealth. The beauties and treasures that they had captured from the mortal world would be inexhaustible. Even the authority of the demon generals and the Mara chief was astonishing. This was a glory that many people had never experienced in their entire lives. Just as the demon gods were rejoicing, a fiery red lightning suddenly flew in the sky and tore apart the Mara group. Someone is coming? Ziyin looked up into the sky and said, Get out of the way. Boom. A fiery red war hammer fell from the sky and smashed straight at Ziyin. Interesting. Ziyin couldn't help but laugh. Demonic flames swirled around his fist as he brought out all of his strength and fiercely punched the falling warhammer. He roared, Get lost. Piercingly cold air waves surged out in all directions. Immediately, a group of demon gods and demons were knocked off balance by the impact. As for the few human maids who had been standing by the side as scouts, they could not withstand the impact and were reduced to ashes amidst screams. Ziyin punched with all his might, forcefully sending the red-hot warhammer flying back. However, his opponent didn't seem to mind. In the blink of an eye, huge figures appeared in the sky. They were titans. And the one at the front was the titan leader with the fiery warhammer, the legendary elder Lei Luan. You're Lei Luan, right? Ziyin smiled slightly. I've waited so long for you. Lei Luan held the warhammer, his eyes dark. Ziyin, did you know that I would come? Of course. Ziyin stepped on the dark clouds and walked step by step towards Lei Luan, smiling. We have a common enemy, so naturally we will be together in the end. The demon world needs you and you need the demon world. Is that right? Lei Luan could not help but laugh out loud. He looked around and said, Forgive me for being blunt, but the strength of the demon world is nothing to me. If I want to, the Titan army can destroy the entire demon world in a day. Do you believe me? Of course, why wouldn't I believe you? Ziyin smiled. But what about after the demon world is destroyed? At least 90% of your titans will die. At that time, I'm afraid you won't be able to deal with just Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor. Moreover, there's also Shi Yen, the ultimate high god. Lei Luan, your race only has one path, and that is to cooperate with me. We will each take what we need. I want my 6 realms, and you can destroy your beyond Avalon. What right do you have to cooperate with me? Lei Luan's aura was overbearing. Streaks of lightning appeared in the sky, and every lightning bolt was a titan. Under the pressure of the aura, many of Mara's army exploded and died. Lei Luan naturally had his reasons for being so overbearing. Indeed, 5,000 titans were enough to destroy the demon world. Ziyan's expression was calm as he smiled. It's simple. I have the god-destroying tower, the 2 heavenly kings, dozens of high gods, and millions of Mara's army. That's what I need to cooperate with you. Lei Luan smiled. Then deal. Chapter 1266. Whoosh. A ray of light shot up into the sky and circled around the highest peak of the Luoyan mountain before turning into a beam of light and returning to the Taishu Gate side hall at the foot of the mountain. Lia Xiu waved her hand and opened her palm to reveal a ball of rain. She smiled. Master, the first rain of the day. Lin Muyu stood outside the corridor and looked up at the sky. It was only after a few seconds that the raindrops splashed onto his cloak. Amazing. Wei Chou clapped. Lia's speed is indeed beyond the imagination of ordinary people. I'm afraid, even Lin General might not have such speed, right? Lin Muyu said, I really don't have such speed, but Lia is talented. You can't be satisfied with your speed. You can go even faster. The speed of light hunting is close to the speed of light. That is to say, wherever I see you should be there. That is the direction you should be training in. Do you understand? Lia flicked the raindrops from her palm to the ground. Master, Lia understands. You can continue to ask questions. Lia can definitely do it. Don't worry, Master. You still want to test Lia? Tang Xiaoxi giggled. What an inhumane master. Qinin smiled. Lia is a senior apprentice sister of the Taishu Gate. It's only right to be strict. Besides, big brother you really relies on Lia. You won't spend so much effort on others. Lin Muyu clapped her hands. Lia, are you ready? Master, I'm ready. Lia stepped into the air. Her pretty face was filled with eagerness. Lin Muyu looked into the distance. Sun Feng is drinking in the attic of the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Bring me his cup and come back to me in 2 seconds. Yes. As soon as she finished, Ria disappeared from where she was, leaving only her afterimage behind. Her real body had already landed in the Hall of Great Accomplishment like a bolt of lightning. With a wave of her hand, she grabbed the wine glass that Sun Feng had just poured for her and returned to Lin Muyu's side in an instant. She raised the glass and said, Master. Return it immediately. Yes. The next moment, the cup was back in Sun Feng's hand. Sun Feng was stunned. What was that thing so fast? In 3 seconds, Sun Feng's wine cup went from being there to not being there and then back to being there again. It was as if nothing had happened, but he could clearly feel that the breeze had entered the attic. This was something that had really happened. Master, anything else? Lia asked. Lin Muyu looked into the distance. Look over there. Chu is fishing next to the heavenly lake on Mount Meru. When Chu catches a fish again, you have to get there in an instant. Get the fish before Chu gets to it. Bring it back here and let Sister Chu Yao make soup for us for dinner. Yes. Lia looked at her with wide eyes. At this time, Miue, Feng Jixing, Zhang Wei, and a group of disciples from the Great Void School had gathered around to watch Lin Muyu train her disciple. Lia was the only disciple that Lin Muyu personally trained. The rest were mostly taught by Miue, Qinin, and Tang Xiaoxi. Spending all her energy on one person showed how much hope Lin Muyu had for Lia. Drip, drip, drip. Raindrops fell into the heavenly lake, creating ripples. However, Chu Chu had already put on his bamboo hat as if he had foreseen this. He was still sitting on the broken piece of wood, fishing. It was as if he had already melted into the scenery. Suddenly, the float trembled a few times and quickly sank. The fish had taken the bait. Chu Chu couldn't help but smile. His strength was neither heavy nor light, and his speed was neither slow nor slow as he began to lift the rod. For a moment, a black carp that weighed at least 1 kilogram struggled in the water and left the water along with the ripples. Chu Chu only fished to enjoy the joy of fishing. The next second he would definitely release the fish back into the water. However, this time he had miscalculated. Shwa. A flash of light flashed past and the hook spun in the air. However, the fish had disappeared and it had become an empty hook. Chu Chu could not help but be startled. Then he saw something clearly and shouted, "Leah, little girl, do it cleanly. Don't let the fish feel too much pain. I've sinned, I've sinned. This fish died because of me." In less than 2 seconds, Leah returned to the corridor of the side hall, holding the struggling fish in her hands. She smiled and said, "Master, I've brought it." Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said, "It's not bad, but…" "Leah, look at your body." "What happened to my body?" Leah looked down and discovered that her tight-fitting dress was completely soaked by the rain. Even half of her breasts were exposed. No wonder all the male disciples were staring at her. Qin Yin raised her hand and draped the cloak over Leah. Then she whispered in her ear, "Master is going to scold you again." Leah blushed and said, "Master, please say it." Lin Muyu said, "The light hunting technique is not only about pursuing the limit of speed, but also taking into account everything that is happening around you. You only care about speed and forget about the raindrops. Look at the rain in the sky. Each drop falls at a specific time and place. You can completely rely on your own observation to avoid all the raindrops, but you didn't. If these were not raindrops but hidden weapons, you would be finished." Leah pursed her lips and said, "Leah knows her mistake. Master, don't be angry." Lin Muyu said, "Try again. Walk forward for a mile and then return. There can't be any rain on you. This time there is no time limit." "Yes." Leah tightened the cloak and took a deep breath. Her little face was full of excitement for the challenge. Suddenly, she disappeared into the curtain of rain. No one could see her figure clearly. They could only see a shadow gliding forward in the rain. For a moment, Wei Chou, Feng Jixing, and the others held their breath. They felt that Lin Muyu was training a very terrifying person. After a few seconds, Feng Jixing said with a sharp and determined gaze, "If Leah was a thief in the mortal world, she could steal the entire Tongtian street in one morning and no one would be able to catch her." Lin Muyu could not help but laugh. "Brother Feng, I'm not training her to steal from Tongtian street." "Then why are you training her?" "You know, Leah has only improved her speed, not her strength. Her strength is still at the level of a first-tier lower deity. No matter how fast she is, she can't kill a superior deity of the devil realm or an expert of the level of Ziyen." "I know. I don't need her to kill anyone for now." Lin Muyu looked up at the sky full of raindrops and said, "Look at this dense rain. Doesn't it look like a swarm of winged Mara's battle formation?" Feng Jixing was quick-witted and instantly understood. You're planning to let Leah steal the god-destroying tower?" "Yes." Lin Muyu said in a deep voice, "No matter what, we have to steal the god-destroying tower in the next battle. I will use my strongest power to attack Ziyen and distract the experts of the devil realm. Then Leah will have an opportunity. As long as Ziyen doesn't have the god-destroying tower, he has nothing to fear." At this moment, Leah had already returned. As expected, there was not a single drop of rain on her. "Master." She was a little helpless. She seemed to have realized that she had spent too much time. Lin Muyu said, "You used a total of 17 seconds. That's too much. You have to complete this within 1 second. Otherwise, you won't be considered to have mastered the light hunting technique." Everyone was silent. They felt that Lin Muyu was too harsh on Leah. Even a god would find it hard to complete this kind of harshness. However, Leah smiled sweetly and said, "Yes, master. I will work hard to achieve it." Among the group, only Leah agreed. This meant that there were only 2 people who believed that the limits of the body could reach this level. One was Leah and the other was Lin Muyu. Perhaps only those who could do it would believe in such a completely impossible thing. For almost the entire day, Leah only had a short break. The rest of the time was spent on training. Coincidentally, the rain from the heavenly realm was very cooperative. By evening, Leah had already shortened the 17 seconds to 8 seconds. However, it was still far from meeting Lin Muyu's requirements. Lin Muyu knew that Ziyen was not the rain. He was ruthless. Once Leah was discovered, she would be dead. She only had one chance. If she missed this chance where Ziyen underestimated his enemy, there would not be another chance. After nightfall, Leah stopped training. After a full meal, she went to sleep. Lin Muyu sat by the bed and looked at the sleeping Leah. She felt a little sorry for her. After a whole day of training, Leah's muscles, bones, and blood vessels were faintly red. That was the result of excessive training. Leah was gifted, and the blood vessels in her body were far more sensitive than ordinary people. However, this did not mean that she could withstand any kind of intense training. Creak, the door opened. It was Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. Qin Yin was holding a bowl of soup in her hands. A delicious aroma wafted out of it. The soup is ready. How long has she been asleep? 4 hours. Lin Wuyu smiled. Xiaoyin Xiaoxi, thank you for your hard work. It's nothing. At that moment, Leah sniffed and woke up. Like a little greedy cat, she clung to the edge of the bed and smiled. Master, did the two goddesses send me something delicious? Yes. Lin Wuyu nodded. Xiaoyin and Xiaoxi made a snake soup. Get up and eat it. Ah? Snake? Leah was shocked. But I have never eaten such a wriggling thing. Master, can Leah not eat it? You can't. Lin Wuyu's voice became a little stricter as she said, the spirit snake's meat is filled with nutrients that nourish the blood. You've been cultivating too much and have exhausted too much of your qi and blood. You have to eat this or your body won't be able to withstand tomorrow's cultivation. Eat, I'll watch you finish eating. Yes. Leah sat up and scooped a small bowl. After a few mouthfuls, she smiled happily. Delicious. The resources in the Eternal Sword domain were scarce. When Leah was young, she had even eaten the rotten flesh of the cave demons. Compared to that, the meat of the spirit snake was no different from that of a swan. Thank you, goddesses. She was sensible. Qin and Tang Xiaoxi were a little embarrassed. The seniority had been completely messed up by Leah. Chapter 1267. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The dark sky was lit up by beams of fiery red light. It was as though countless meteorites were falling from the sky. Balls of light wrapped in azure light shot down from the sky. Those were the travelers who had traveled here through the ancient method. They fell in groups on the spirit mountain that had been abandoned for many years in the desolate spirit world. Along with the rumbling and reverberations, the entire spirit mountain trembled. This group of travelers from afar continued to fall, and there were thousands of them. In the blink of an eye, a small half of the spirit mountain in the desolate spirit world had been smashed into a sieve. Amidst the thousands of holes, huge figures stood up one by one, and with the sound of machines turning, they looked up into the sky. There, a huge figure stood in the air, and it was Elder Tai Lan. My clansman. Tai Lan's voice was low but decisive. Someone has betrayed us. It is Lei Luan. This traitor has betrayed the ancestors of the Titan race. He has turned his back on our words and beliefs. Now, I have brought all of you back to the divine world. Perhaps we will never be able to return to our homeland, but we firmly believe that justice will always shine. All the Titans knelt on one knee with a pious expression. Elder Tai Lan continued, conceal your auras. Don't let our opponents discover us too early. I've already found Lei Luan's coordinates. He's hidden in a valley not far away. Now, all Titans, immediately enter a state of hibernation and store up your energy. 3 days later, I'll create an insect cave that leads directly to Lei Luan's camp and deal them a fatal blow. Rest well and prepare for the battle to quell the rebellion. The Titans did not speak. All of them curled up in the huge pit that they had created. Their bodies were covered in dust. They were like a pile of rusty scrap metal, making it impossible for others to see through them. Valley of Fallen Gods. All the Titans were hidden in the forest and quietly in a deep sleep. The Demon World army was still circling in the sky, acting as the outer layer of protection. Ziyin didn't sleep. He hadn't closed his eyes for at least 2 months. He couldn't sleep and he wasn't willing to sleep. Once he slept, he might lose the god-destroying tower and everything else. Although he was strong in the demon realm, deep in his heart, he was still the Ziyin who felt inferior and was afraid of losing his powers. Nothing had changed. Bai Feng stood at the side looking a little uneasy. What? Did you sense something? Ziyin glanced at her. No. Bai Feng pursed her lips and said, I'm just feeling a little restless in my heart. Ziyin glanced at Lei Luan, who was 100 meters away, and said, Lei Luan said that as long as Elder Tai Lan's tribe enters the immortal realm, he will definitely sense it. Therefore, we don't have to worry about the Titan tribe. Even if we have to fight, we will only be supporting them. There is no need to fight the Titans head-on. Yes, I understand, Your Majesty. You know nothing. Just then, the winged Mara in the air suddenly started to make loud cackling noises. What's with all the noise in the middle of the night? Ziyin roared angrily, but the winged Mara were still yelling anxiously. They did not change at all because of Ziyin's anger. Swish, swish, streaks of faint golden light appeared in the air. It was as if a galaxy had suddenly appeared in the sky. This was a power that was completely different from the 6 realms. It was fundamentally different. They're a guest. Ziyin held onto the god-destroying pagoda and slowly flew up. Not far away, Lei Luan had also woken up. He led a group of titans and flew up into the sky, surrounding the streaks of light in the center. ZZ, the golden lightning started to interweave, and in the blink of an eye, it formed a human figure. It was a man in a red cloak and had a long beard. His cheekbones and nose bridge were very high, and his eyes were azure blue. His entire body was enshrouded with an overwhelming power that made people unable to get close to him. It was as if he could destroy the earth with a flick of his finger. Especially his eyes, they were filled with arrogance and disdain. "Who are you?" Ziyin asked indifferently. Lei Luan gripped his fiery red warhammer tightly and did not say a word. However, it was obvious that if the other party's answer was not satisfactory, he would attack at any time. The newcomer's eyes were cold and arrogant. He said indifferently, "One of the 12 elephant gods of outer heaven, Aelios. Are you the legendary master of the demon realm, the extremely powerful Ziyin?" "That's right. You don't look like much." Aelios laughed in disdain. "You." Ziyin gritted his teeth. Aelios looked at Lei Luan and could not help but reveal a look of pity. He said, "I didn't expect the powerful titans to fall to such a pitiful state. Look at your pitiful bodies wrapped in steel. TSK. How can you be so cowardly? This is really unexpected." Lei Luan said coldly, "What are you trying to say? You are a lackey of Olympus." "I am a lackey." Aelios could not help but laugh out loud. "You two idiots are still hiding here and enjoying the peace and quiet. Don't you know that Tyron's army has arrived? They will open a wormhole and attack you at any time. Their power can kill almost 3,000 titans in an instant. Lei Luan, you idiot, do you really think that victory is in your hands?" "What? Impossible." Lei Luan was shocked. "If Tyron had come, I would have sensed it long ago." "Sensed it? You have no idea that Tyron has already activated a new barrier. They have concealed everything. You will not be able to sense their whereabouts with your sense of smell," Aelios said indifferently. Aelios calmly said, "No wonder Tyron is the new leader of the Titan tribe, and not a simple-minded, muscular idiot like you leading the entire tribe. What are you trying to do?" Lei Luan said coldly. "You are the archenemy of the Titans and the main god of outer heaven. Are you not worried that we will kill you here?" "Hehe, I believe that you will not. You will not reject a powerful guide." "Guide? What do you mean?" Ziyin asked. Aelios said, "With the bodies of the Titans, do you think you can penetrate more than 3,000 realm walls and reach outer heaven? Without my guidance, you will not have the chance to reach outer heaven, let alone take revenge." Lei Luan could not help but laugh. "I thought that a powerful main god had come. So it is just a shameless traitor of outer heaven. Ah. Idiot, do you think that I am the only one on my side?" Aelios said calmly. "I can help you take revenge and overthrow Zeus and Panga's rule in outer heaven. But you must agree to one condition." "What condition?" "Let me take charge of the new outer heaven." "Deal." Lei Luan sneered. "If you are willing to have a destroyed outer heaven, then deal." A greedy flame appeared in Aelios' eyes. He smiled and said, "Deal. I've had enough of those gods pointing fingers at me. Even if it's destruction, that's all I'm after. Now awaken all of you. I will open up a tunnel to the desolate spirit world mountain for you. Bring your army and kill your way there. Destroy the Tyrant tribe's branch and make the entire Titan tribe work for you." Lei Luan seemed excited. He raised his warhammer and laughed. Get up. Prepare for war." Ziyin said calmly, "Holy King Baifeng, gather the army and prepare for war." "Yes." Not long after, Aelios stood in the air and let out a roar. His body was covered in golden light and shot into the sky. He crossed his palms as if he was chanting some kind of cryptic spell. Invisible energy rose in the surroundings. Suddenly, the starlight in front of him shone brightly. A spatial tunnel was blasted open. Aelios' eyes were shining with golden light. He shouted, "What are you waiting for? Take your most trusted warriors and attack." Lei Luan let out a furious roar as he charged into the starry sky tunnel, dragging his warhammer behind him. Countless titans followed behind him, and the devils in the sky also surged into the starry sky tunnel. For a moment, the sky of the desolate spirit world was a mess. Boom, boom, boom. Fireballs fell to the ground and collided with the sleeping titans of Elder Tyrant's branch. The ground trembled and the entire desolate spirit world seemed like it was about to collapse. "Damn these despicable beasts." Elder Tyrant raised his metal staff. He woke up from his slumber and slammed it into the ground. Amidst the sounds of metal clashing, All the slumbering titans were jolted awake. Elder Tai Lan's angry and melodious voice rang out, "For our race and beliefs, fight. Kill all traitors and enemies." 2 hours ago, Luoyan Mountain. Chu Yao suddenly awoke from her dream. Her eyes were covered in a layer of golden light. It was as if she could see some intermittent scenes. Those were all scenes that were about to happen. Yo. Chu Yao's voice became sharp. Whoosh. Lin Muyu, who was still in her pajamas, broke through the void and appeared next to Chu Yao. She held her shoulder. "Sister Chu Yao, what did you see?" "Desolate spirit world. Desolate spirit world. Elder Tyrant's tribe was ambushed. Quick. Are you sure it's the desolate spirit world?" "Got it. Rest for a while." Lin Muyu disappeared in a flash once again. Her figure appeared in the sky above Mount Dashang. She raised her right fist and blood-red lightning surged. She suddenly punched the air, and with a bang her divine power shook the entire eastern celestial realm. She shouted, "Gather." In less than 3 minutes, almost all the gods of the eastern divine realm had appeared in the plaza in front of the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Under the leadership of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Lin Muyu, they quickly flew toward the desolate spirit world. No one knew how early Chu Yao's prophecy had come true. However, the sooner they reached the desolate spirit world, the more they could save the Titans. If the Titans were exterminated, the future of the 4 divine realms would not be easy. At the same time, Shi Yin also received Qin Yin's message. She brought hundreds of angels from the western divine realm to reinforce the desolate spirit world. Chapter 1268. In the desolate spirit world, there were thunderous booms everywhere. The battle between the 2 Titan branches could almost be described as earth-shattering. Beams of spiritual power surged between the heavens and the earth. Even the demon world's Mara army could not intervene at all. They could only be killed. Woo. Amidst the loud sound of steam, a Titan was swept into the sky by countless winged Mara. He tried to shake his arms, but it was of no use. However, just as a group of winged Mara was feeling smug, the carapace on the Titan's head suddenly bloomed. Suddenly, a ball of flames soared into the sky, burning the Mara into ashes. Its huge body also broke free from Mara's control. It waved a battle axe and charged toward the ground. What a powerful Titan! With the god-destroying pagoda in hand, Ziyan's figure changed in the air. His palm was filled with demonic flames, and he struck the Titan's back fiercely. Instantly, the fiery red palm print melted the armor on the Titan's back, but it could not melt the special shield inside. The shield was like a wave of water, completely eliminating the power of Ziyan's palm. Woo. Amidst the mechanical sound, the Titan suddenly turned around, and the battle axe turned into a bolt of lightning and slashed toward Ziyan. In an instant, there was no way for Ziyan to dodge. He raised his palm and condensed a shield. Pung! The demonic flame's light surged. The Titan's attack was powerful, and it actually blasted Ziyan away by more than 100 meters. "Your Majesty, are you all right?" Bai Feng led a group of demon generals and rushed over. He pulled out his sword and said, "Go kill this Titan. Attack together." Wait. However, Ziyan had a playful look on his face. He smiled and said, "I'm just playing with this Titan. Don't interfere. He's mine. Watch how I cut him into pieces." As he said that, Ziyan rushed forward again. This time, his aura was even stronger, carrying the might of the demon realm. An invisible airwave crushed down. Before he could even reach the Titan, the mecha in front of the Titan's chest continuously exploded. It was actually unable to withstand Ziyan's domain and exploded. However, a centipede would not fall down even if it died. The strength of the Titan lay in its extremely strong vitality. Its body was almost in ruins, but it still raised its battle axe fiercely and threw it out. Immediately, the huge battle axe turned into a bolt of lightning and went straight for Ziyan's face. "Melt for me." Ziyan continued to move forward. A ball of devil flames appeared in front of him, burning his battle axe red. In the blink of an eye, it turned into molten iron that filled the sky. As expected, in terms of absolute power, he could easily kill a Titan with medium strength even without using the god-destroying tower. Boom. They collided head-on. An azure heart appeared in Ziyan's hand. It was the Titan's heart. In the sky, the Titan lost its energy source and fell into the darkness of the ground with a miserable cry. However, Ziyin activated the firepower in his palm and burned the heart until nothing was left. He said, "Order the Mara army to continue attacking. Don't give Elder Thailand's branch any chance to take a breather." "Yes, Your Majesty." In the sky, countless Mara soldiers charged towards the ground like rain. There, pools of flames soared into the sky. There were titans fighting and killing each other everywhere. Boom. Metal staff against warhammer. Tai Lan against Lei Luan. The fiery red metal staff forcefully swept away the warhammer. Tai Lan roared in anger and kicked Lei Luan's abdomen heavily. In terms of battle prowess, Lei Luan, the leader of the branch, was no match for Tai Lan. However, Lei Luan had a helper this time. Just as Tai Lan kicked Lei Luan away, a golden light flickered in the sky. An unparalleled expert descended from the sky. His palms were filled with profound energy and he slammed them onto Elder Tai Lan's head. "Yua!" Elder Tai Lan let out a long howl towards the sky. Blood-red liquid spurted out from his mouth and nose. His body was still trembling, but he did not collapse. Instead, he raised his metal staff and swept it across the sky. His divine energy turned into a surface, as though he was spreading out a huge net to hunt down the attacker. However, how could Aelios be hunted down so easily? He clenched his palms into fists and bent his body slightly in the air. His entire body was like a taut bowstring as he suddenly flew forward. With a biting cold profound energy, he directly broke through Tai Lan's blockade. While he was in the air, he turned around and unleashed a combination of punches from a distance. Almost all of the punches landed on Tai Lan's body, causing the defensive energy on the surface of Elder Tai Lan's body to be on the verge of collapsing. Brr. With a low roar, Elder Tai Lan opened his palms, and roaring flames baptized Aelios in the air. Aelios had no choice but to convert his divine energy into a shield and forcefully block Elder Tai Lan's attack in the air. Through the light screen, one could see that Aelios' forehead was filled with veins. Evidently, even the gods of the sky beyond Avalon might not be Elder Tai Lan's match. "Who are you?" Tai Lan shouted in a low voice. "The power of the law that you are using does not belong to this world. Who exactly are you?" Aelios crossed his arms in front of his chest to block the invasion of the flames. He chuckled and said, "Old man, if you still have normal intelligence, shouldn't you have already guessed it? If I do not belong to this world, then I belong to another world. The world where the Olympian gods are. Have you already forgotten about it? Ah, you scum." Elder Tai Lan seemed to have sensed something and shouted in a low voice, "Even though we, the Titans, are eternal enemies with the Olympians, we will not betray our own race. It seems like you and Lei Luan are the same kind of people. For status and power, you would rather betray your own race." "They are not my race and they have never treated me as one," Aelios sneered. "On the other hand, you pitiful old thing. The Titan race has already been suppressed to a corner of the world. Instead of thinking about your race, you still want to follow the order of the world. People like you are not fit to be the leader of the Titan race. Come, let me end your life and let a suitable person be the leader of the Titan race." Elder Tai Lan roared in anger, but he was already powerless. Aelios was gradually escaping from the range of the spiritual flames. Whoosh! In the sky, a figure swooped down and slammed heavily into Aelios' body, crushing him into the mountain. It was a Titan warrior from the Tyrannosaurus branch, but he was no match for Aelios. In the blink of an eye, there was a rumbling explosion from within the mountain, and the Titan's broken limbs flew into the air. It was a tragic sight to behold. Elder Tai Lan looked at the ground with a gloomy expression. He lightly hit the ground with his iron staff, and suddenly, a wave of energy spread along the ground. He said in a low voice, "Warriors of the Titan race, Lei Luan has betrayed our race. He colluded with the traitors of Olympus to kill our people. Fight. Fight to the last man, and let the world know the endless courage of the Titan race. We will never surrender, and we will only fight until the day our race is exterminated." Roar. One by one, the Titans roared, and the sound of battle became more and more deafening. In the air, the flying Mara was everywhere like a fly. A group of holy king and demon generals surrounded the Titans and attacked them fiercely. As the saying went, many ants could bite an elephant to death. As the battle continued, the Titans fell one after another. Swoosh! The green flames in the sky were reflected in Elder Tai Lan's blue eyes. He looked at his people falling one after another, and his expression was indescribably sorrowful. Not far away, Lei Luan and dozens of Titans as well as Aelios in the air, were staring at him and the hundreds of guards behind him. These Titan guards were the most elite warriors of the race. If they died in battle, the last hope of the Titan race would vanish together with them. Warriors attack. Elder Tai Lan pointed his iron staff forward, and his voice trembled as he roared. However, at this moment, a golden light descended from the sky. His palm was filled with the golden red power of the AO sword technique. He raised his hand and launched an invisible attack. Heaven and earth, listen to my command. Bang. A large group of demon generals and titans were crushed into the rock stratum by the sword intent and the invisible elephant. The rumbling sound was endless, and many demon generals even died just like that. That person was dressed in majestic armor, and the cloak that belonged to an upright god fluttered in the wind. His figure was extremely handsome and very familiar. Elder Tai Lan? Lin Muyu turned around and said, "We're here. Do you want to fight alongside the divine realm?" Behind him, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, Ziyao, Feng Jixing, and the others, wrapped in golden light, landed on the ground one after another. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of upright gods had landed in the valley. In addition, there were many gods rushing over with awe-inspiring aura. In the blink of an eye, the valley that was filled with violence and demonic aura was filled with a tranquil and peaceful Mahayana heavenly Tao aura. Elder Tai Lan leaned on his iron staff and muttered, "It's the martial god. I'm sorry, please forgive my race's arrogance in the past. I, Tai Lan, represent the entire Titan race and promise to fight alongside you." "Yes." Lin Muyu nodded heavily, and the Shenyuan sword in her hand shone brightly. She turned to look at Mara and the titans in the valley and said, "Let's fight." Figures flew over. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi had already joined the battle at the first instance. Their main mission was to assist the titans of the tyrant race to defeat the opposing titans. Moreover, it was very easy to tell them apart. The titans of the tyrant race maintained their original nature, and their eyes were azure blue. However, the Thunder Luan race had already fallen into the heavenly Tao of massacre, and their eyes were already blood red. "Who are you?" The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised his head and looked at Aelios, who was in the sky. Aelios also looked at the 7 luminaries demon emperor and felt the monstrous power of the 7 luminaries demon emperor. He said, "I'm Aelios, one of the 12 elephant gods of the realm beyond Avalon. Who are you?" The 7 luminaries demon emperor chuckled, and the Pangu axe in his hand spun rapidly. He said, "So you're just a god that does odd jobs in the realm beyond Avalon. I was wondering who you were." "Ha, who exactly are you? Why are you speaking so rudely?" "I'm the godly king of the 6 realms, and I'll definitely be a king in the realm beyond Avalon. Remember my name, I'm..." The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised his Pangu axe in the air, and his aura filled the sky. However, he suddenly stopped and his brows furrowed tightly. His eyes were filled with seriousness. "What's my name again?" "Motherf ****. The damn author forgot to give me a proper name from the start. Then I'll call you Grandpa. Take a hit from your grandpa's axe first." You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.